I got a problem. I'm like got an addiction to AI right now, and I'm spending way too much. So I'm spending about $1,000 a month on tools.
Is your wife getting
And,
jealous?
no, not yet. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is maybe we could talk about this. Maybe we could talk about my addiction on the show, and we could figure out, should I really be spending that much money? Can I go cheaper? I don't know. So let me tell you my tool stack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. This is where we discuss current events, personal growth, and any other random topic that crosses our minds. Our goal is to have a meaningful discussion that help us to see the topics we discuss more clearly. Our hope is we can help you expand your self-awareness, develop your critical thinking, and learn to be less reactive to the world around you. And most importantly, remember, be curious. If you like what you hear, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. Chris, we're live again, back.
We're live. Are we live?
Chris, we are live right
shall
now.
We have
are
that
live and alive.
Should we go into the philosophy of what is life?
I mean, if you insist, whatever.
No,
but
not
yeah.
yet. But episode 39, pretty darn impressive. I was thinking maybe we're on episode 40 because I think that'll be another milestone for us. So
yeah,
that'll be next week.
Be in a milestone, no doubt.
So it's
right.
Podcast Friday.
Podcast Friday. Let's get this rolling, Chris. I've been super busy, stressed out, so I have all sorts of new stuff to talk about. If you want,
okay, cool.
Or we can talk about our regular boring stuff, whatever you want to do.
I did have one idea that I want to mention is, since we're doing this at a regular time, I'm wondering if we should just go ahead and host it live and record it and put it up.
I mean, I suppose that'd be fine. It's like I don't know that my internet speed would be able to handle that, so.
Well, maybe we'll test it out one of these days. I mean, I'm not in a rush to do this kind of thing. It's just, I thought it might be interesting to see if we get any interaction, because it'd be kind of neat to get actual people interacting with us as we talk.
That would be cool. It would be cool if people could do that. I mean, so literally with this whole thing now, I mean, we could somehow literally, like, I got this little fancy box. I have no idea how to do it. But I could have like a Twilio phone number. You could actually have a live call in to the show during the thing. I could like pipe this in through technology and sync it. It's like, it's crazy I mean, I got to know how to do it.
Can we get like 1-800-BAD-LOGIC?
We probably could. That'd be awesome. Bad logic. We could do that. So, well, okay. With that in mind, Chris, let's get this show started. What are we going to talk about today?
Oh boy, what is there to talk about? I mean, I'll tell you what I was talking about this morning, and we'll just jump into AI fun for a little bit. Sure. Have you heard of the nano banana that came out this week?
Yeah, it came out a couple days ago or something. It's supposed to be a really good video editor. Not image editor, right?
Yeah. Well, so this morning on one of my calls that I was on, we were both playing around with it, and I do think it's got some improvements over trying to create stuff through chat.
Okay.
It remembers your face better, so it doesn't alter you as much. And in fact, I might try making a thumbnail for us to see what it comes out like. But the other thing it does is it's got that memory function that keeps that there. It still has a problem sometimes where it goes down its own little logic pathway and it can't get out of it. So I had to create a cartoon for me today, and it misspelled one of the words.
Interesting, yeah.
And so I said, correct the spelling, and I tried 4 or 5 times and it couldn't do it. And finally, I just had to regenerate the entire thing, and that corrected it. So obviously, it went down some pathway where I wasn't able to do that. And these are problems you have. I have the same problems with chat when I make a graphic. So I'm guessing there's something in the way the AI works where it's really hard for it to break out of certain channels of thought once it's gone down the path.
Yeah, I think I've figured that problem out for you, because I see that happening all the time.
You think I can stay within a single chat and correct that? Because what I've been doing is I go out and make a new chat, give it the same prompt, and it works perfectly well in a new chat.
Yeah, so I think what the problem is it can't see what it creates. And so what I typically will do is that I'll explain it to it, and then I'll grab a screenshot of it and dump that in, and it's like, oh, I see, and then it'll usually create it.
So so I'm doing that, but I'm not giving it a screenshot, because usually it says, you're right, as it always says, you're right, I spelled that word, let me correct that, here's what I'll do. And I say, go ahead and do it, and it does the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You get in this infinite loop and it just creates frustration. I'm like, let me show you what I'm seeing. And then I just use Snag it and upload a screenshot. And
Yeah,
then
I'll
it's like,
try that
oh,
next
now
time.
I see. Yeah.
I mean,
Try it and see if it works.
yeah, I mean, I didn't want to do the extra step, but if it's actually going to help it correct itself, that's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in my mind, it's not able to see what it generates. It's sort of like, I don't know what it's like. I don't really have an analogy, but it's like
Well,
when you show it, it's like, okay, now I see, and that's like now it usually fixes it.
so I had a problem. I was playing around with one of my headshots for
Yeah.
the profile pics, and I said, put me in a blue and white striped dress shirt.
Okay, there you go.
And it did, and it looked okay, but I didn't like how wide the stripes were. I wanted it thinner. So I said, make it thinner.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it gave me the exact same thing. No, make it thinner. And it gave me the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And finally,
yeah.
I reprompted it and gave it the same prompt from the beginning, but this time I said pinstriped with very thin lines, and it came out perfectly.
Yeah.
For some reason, it could not overcome some aspect of the way I'd said it the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I gave it a picture of a pinstripe shirt that I'm thinking of, this is what I want it to look like, if it would then be able to take the textures and use that.
Well, I think it might, Chris. But so let's talk about. So this is like real science, right? This is the scientific method that we're doing, because basically what just happened is you came up with a problem, and I think, oh yeah, I'm observing that problem. I see that many times. I've seen it, and then this is what I've done that fixes the problem. And then now you'll go try that and you'll tell me, yeah, that worked. Or you're like, no, that didn't work. So it'll be interesting, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the simplified view without bringing science in it would be, it's a trial and error method, but it's not just randomly shooting trial out there. It's actually guiding it by having a theory that you're trying to prove. If I wonder, it's not. I'm not saying it as a theory. I wonder if I change this variable, if I change this word, if I change this whatever, if the outcome will come closer to what my desired outcome is.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And so my brain works that way sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know.
Well, I do like to test AI and give it like simple prompts and see where it goes, and see how close to what I have in mind that the output comes. Yeah.
So I got a problem. I'm like got an addiction to AI right now, and I'm spending way too much. So I'm spending about $1,000 a month on tools.
Is your wife getting jealous?
No, not yet. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, maybe we could talk about this. Maybe we could talk about my addiction on the show, and we could figure out, should I really be spending that much money? Can I go cheaper? I don't know. So let me tell you my tool stack.
Yep.
What I'm on right now. So I'm on ChatGPT, the $200 plan, right? The Pro plan.
Yep.
Which is very interesting, because what that gives you is it gives you access to like pro level research that you don't get on the $20 plan. Mm-hmm. And in almost every case, no matter what plan you upgrade to, it's more access. It goes faster. But it's not like you get anything uniquely different in it. You just get more of what's in the $20 plan. Mm-hmm. Or in this case, when you go to the 20, you get more of that, but you get an additional tool as well to use, which is sort of fascinating.
Wait, so the Pro isn't even limitedly available on the cheaper plan?
No. There's one thinking mode that you get that you don't get on the $20 plan.
Okay.
So I think, hang on, I could pull it up, sort of.
Because I didn't realize like Claude has like 4 different thinking levels too, apparently. And
hang on, that's what we were arguing about before. Yeah, so like if you pull up your menu on ChatGPT 5, you'll get and you may not see this, I don't know. I get auto, instant, thinking, Pro, and I get several legacy models. Do you get the Pro, research grade intelligence?
So what I have is my Pro is grayed out. It's an upgrade. I get thinking, instant, and auto, and then legacy models.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So in this particular case, you get more, you just get to use it more, but you also get another, intelligence mode. So anyways, that's I guess one advantage of being more. So my second stack is Grok. I don't know if you're familiar with Grok or not. Of course. So there's 2 Grok plans. One is the basic $30 plan, and the other is the $300 a month plan, which is Grok Heavy. Mm-hmm. And so apparently in this, Grok is doing something nobody else is doing that I'm aware of, is they've got this multi-agent mode that'll send multiple agents out and they'll compare each other and then come back with an answer. And so I'm not aware that any other AI uses that approach. Everything else is, I want to say single-threaded. Technically, it's multi-threaded, but it's just single agent. So, and they just spend more time. So we'd have to kind of verify, but that's just what I've done in my initial research. And the answers are very insightful. But if I'm doing like a deep research thing, I don't know that it's significantly any better than what I see in ChatGPT, to be honest with you.
Especially with a new one.
Yeah, with the 5.0, right. Exactly. And especially when you get the Pro plan. So that's two tools in my stack. I did another one, which is Claude, which is really interesting. And what I found is that Claude is probably the best coder.
Yep.
And the best writer.
Agreed.
Not by much. ChatGPT is pretty good, and you control a lot of it by how you prompt. But it's very, very nice.
I think Chat 5 is better than 4, definitely in that, but I still give the edge to Claude for the writing quality.
It seems so. Yeah, it seems so. And the nice thing about Claude is you have a little bit bigger context window. You get 200,000 tokens as opposed to Chat's 128, which means you can keep it going longer and it just remembers a little bit more.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool. The advantage of going from, let me go back to Grok again, the advantage of going from the 30 to the $300, you get way more, you can push on it more, you get the multi-agent thing, but they also move the context window from 128K to 256K. So if you want to grind more data, you can do more. Then I've got Perplexity, which I don't use that much. I got the $20 plan of Perplexity, and that's very cool. And another one I just bought the other day, which I'm just enamored with right now, is the Google Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that's cool is they've got the $20 plan, but they've also got the $250 a month plan that I didn't realize it, but when I signed up for it, they give you a half price for the first 3 months. So I'm paying like $120 for that.
But so you've got the expensive one though, right? The 250 you're saying? You're just paying less right now.
Yeah, it's got an initial, like an intro plan or something. And that gets some incredible research. I mean, it's really good. And it's so cool. Like one thing that I've already learned is you can open up a window and you can watch it think. And it's so interesting just to kind of watch through how it thinks and what it's doing and the questions it's asking. And I've got this assumption. Now we got to go verify this. Maybe I got to go research, or I'm getting contradictory data from these two sources and I got to resolve this conflict. And I'm
seeing a lot of those though. A lot of the ones do that. Even Grok does that and Claude does that for me. I can see how it's interacting, but it depends on how I prompt it. Some prompts, it does no thinking or I don't see any of the thinking. And some of the prompts, you can see it's going to these sources. It's doing research on this. I was using the free version of Gemini earlier today to get to that nano banana, and I could see it figuring things out for the questions I asked. The other thing I noted was Gemini went and did a web search without me specifying go do a web search. Whereas Claude, I have to tell it to do a web search.
Yeah. It's got integrated tools in it that are just built into its DNA in a different way than Claude does. Now, I typically will see that sometimes with the $30 Grok plan, but if you go into the Grok Heavy, which is the multi-agent mode, it doesn't show me any kind of thinking ever. So it sort of locks that out, which I'm kind of surprised that you get less on the higher plan, but that's what I'm observing.
I wonder if there's a console or a developer interface that you go to that would show you that.
There might be. I haven't really dug in that much to it, but I do like the Gemini. Also, it seems like the Gemini does slightly better images. I don't know how much better it does, but I love it's much more verbose in its thinking, which I think is so cool. That's really entertaining for me. And here's the thing, Chris, you get 1 million token context window on Gemini.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot. And it tells you how much of that context window you're using. Most of the other ones don't. Claude will tell you. ChatGPT doesn't, but Gemini does. So that's pretty darn cool.
I'm pretty sure the console in Claude and the playground in Chat allow you a lot of that visibility under the hood as you're using it.
What is Playground? I'm not familiar with that.
Playground is their developer. I guess it's their developer tool area, because you have to have an API to be able to use it, as opposed to the traditional web interface. And then it separates the system prompt from the user prompt, and it's got a section for you to write a system prompt separate from the user prompt.
This is if you're accessing the API.
Yeah. And what it does is it keeps track of the chat you're in, but it doesn't keep track of all the chats the way you've got the chat history in the web interface. So, and then it gives you the ability to directly impact some of the parameters, like the temperature and some of the other types of things as well. So it's really interesting. I was watching a video this week. A guy was talking about, if you really want to get better at prompting and avoid all the filters and rules that are in the retail, with the readily available interfaces, that using these, almost all these have some form of a console like this. I bet you Gemini has one. I bet you Grok has one too.
That'd be interesting. I'll check that out, actually.
It requires a little more, I think, technical rigor in how you interact. Right, it's not like I'm just giving you a prompt and you're giving me an input back. It's like, oh, here's the system part of the prompt, here's the user part of the prompt. But I think you're at a level you could easily adapt to that. So
yeah, I'm gonna check that out at some point, and then it's a lot of money, and I'm considering how much I actually use it, and then I'm also considering there are these other sort of interfaces that you can tap into the API. And then you can pull from any model from anywhere, pretty much.
Isn't Perplexity using existing LLMs and not their own?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've got one native one that they use, but yeah, I think they pull from other ones. So I'll bet you I could probably save significant amounts of money if I was to sort of
they're advertising all over YouTube.
Like
I think Abacus AI was one, and a couple other ones where basically they're using APIs in the back end, and they give you access to all of them. And because they're using APIs, it's a cheaper thing. So for $10 a month or $20 a month, they give you access to 4 or 5 of the $20 plans, as opposed to one $20 plan.
Yeah, and you got to be careful though, because I know a lot of people using Claude or even ChatGPT, you get unlimited use. But if you went through the API, I know some people are talking about, I've burned like $3,000 in tokens on, the $200 plan. So it is possible. It can bite you. It can go the other way.
Yeah, I still use the web interface for most of the stuff, because it's strictly me kind of talking conversationally, and I'm not structuring my interaction with a prompt goal in mind, but more of a conversational type of thing.
Yeah.
And the output, the strength of reasoning and output I get is sufficient for that. But if I were trying to make it as efficient as possible and optimize it, I would probably be going through these other interfaces more.
Yeah, because I know one feature for sure you can set, which I'd like to mess around with, is you can set temperature, which you don't have access. I mean, you can somewhat influence it.
Can't you tell it? Can't you tell it set your temperature to 1 or something?
Well, from talking to it is whatever AI I'm using. You can't set the temperature directly, but it'll simulate the temperature. And I'm not quite sure what that is, because now you're talking about a simulation instead of a simulation.
And I think those consoles do allow you to adjust those parameters. At least from the research I did earlier this week, that's what it was telling me. So
yeah, because you have to access the API, and definitely you have more control inside the API. So I think that's going to be my next level.
Do you have a paid Claude account as well?
Yeah, I have the
$20
Claude
plan. You don't have Copilot, right? Copilot or DeepSeek you don't have.
No, but I upgraded because I would constantly bump up against limits in Claude. So
I'm hitting the limit all the time on Claude, even with the cheapest paid account. I was looking at what other options are. There's $100 and a $200 plan as well.
Yeah, I'm on the $100 plan actually, which gives you like 5 times. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how I'm starting to add up. Close to $1,000.
You got 100 on Claude.
Yeah.
125 on Gemini, 20 on Perplexity, 300 on Grok, and 200 on Chat. This is just in LLMs. You've got all this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not even touching the other type. Like you have 11 labs set up for voice.
Yeah, 11 labs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what else do you have?
What else do I have?
You said you set up Twilio. Descript.
Yeah, I have Twilio set up. Descript.
What else is
there's
in the stack?
I don't know, a bunch of other stuff. I think N8N I'm paying like $30 a month for.
I mean, assuming you're doing like the basic plans on all those, that's $20 to $40 each, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're at, one. 6, 7. You're like $800 on LLMs alone.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I said. I got a little bit of an addiction.
I'm wondering if it wouldn't be beneficial to pick one as your main one, drop down to the lower paid plans on the other ones, and use it for a month, 2 months, and just concentrate your efforts on that, and then switch it up after a couple months, and then over the course of time, you'll figure out your favorite.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, I'm going to do this as a business, though, and I find a lot of times I'll be running up multiple tabs open simultaneously and like running the same query in, so I can sort of see like the differences, which is kind of cool. And I really should be making videos of this sort of stuff because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested.
You probably
in this,
could. I was talking. I was talking to someone this week who they were vibe coding in something, and then they were carrying it over into console, right? Cursor. And then they knew enough code to be able to adjust the code once there, but they would do the initial coding that, or you could use, well, for Claude, are you using Claude code or are you using just Claude?
I'm using just Claude to code it, and it codes it up into the canvas, which is, I don't do that much code.
I downloaded Claude Code this week, the terminal access one, and I'm a little overwhelmed at the moment getting my mind back into working on a console. I just haven't done it in so long. So
yeah, and I'll get to all that stuff. I mean, right now what I'm really doing it for is principally research. And so I've worked with the multiple LLMs asking it what my workflow should be. And it seems like I get it a similar answer in that, Grok 4 Heavy, ChatGPT 5, and certainly Gemini 2.5 Pro, they're really good for research. And Perplexity is surprisingly good for research too. But it seems like they all say dump it back into Claude to summarize everything and to produce the nice writing. But
it's my single favorite LLM right now. I'm impressed by a lot of the things the new ones will do, or the new models will do. At the end of the day, though, I like Claude.
Yeah, Claude's good.
The other ones I understand, but I really like Claude. So
yeah, if you made me choose just one, I'd probably go with ChatGPT 5. If you made me just choose one, but Claude would probably be a close. Second. The problem with Claude is it can't produce images. There's a lot that it can't do. It's principally just writing.
So what are you getting out of the $300 Grok? I know you say it's powerful and it's got a different back end and how it operates, but are you getting, that's almost half your LLM budget right there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting that much out of it. I'm really considering turning it off. I'll probably let it go for one more month. And just really keep pushing on it like I have been. But I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. Now, I think if I was doing complex, maybe physics problems or advanced mathematics or something very advanced, maybe in that case, it probably makes sense. But certainly for my stuff, for the marketing stuff, I don't think it's that great. One of the advantages that it has is it's so integrated so closely into X. And so you can get real-time sentiment coming in a way that I can't get in the other tools. And with the heavy plan, it does a little bit better analysis, but not significantly better above the $30 plan.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're really looking just a way to cut costs, at least in the short term, until you've got enough income to cover all these things. That seems like the obvious one to me. Because if you're that's roughly the same cost as what you're paying for Chat and Gemini, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And at this point, I'm not too worried about the money because I'm trying to basically buy as quickly as possible my experience so I can help other people. But I don't see the value in the Grok Heavy right now. In fact, I think I ran reports for both of them, and in fact, the report I got out of Gemini was better data than I got out of Grok.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are loving Gemini for a lot of reasons, the research especially. I think, and isn't that what backs up Notebook LM? Because that's a Google product as well.
And another thing too,
I'm a real fan of Notebook LM.
So. Yeah, I know, because with that, I've got the super advanced version of Notebook LM is included into it. There's you get the video generation of whatever the VEO3 that in there. I haven't played, but you get way more credits. I'm assuming it
integrates with all the other Google tools, Google Docs, Google Drive, even Gmail stuff. Probably has a more native I'm assuming a more native way to interact.
So there's a lot of advantages with the Gemini thing. So it seems like seems pretty cool. But I just don't understand their character enough. But the way I'm viewing it right now, Chris, even if it costs me a few $1,000s to learn this, it's worth it because it does a couple things for me, right? One is it lets me talk with more authority. And the more confidence I have, the more likely people are to believe you, which is, it's like the guy who just stands up and beats his chest. Everybody's like, okay, maybe he does know what he has. Because then if other people say, it's like, well, look, I've tested it. I've been spending for the past few months over $1,000 a month or $800, whatever it is, on these tools. So you may think you know, but I actually know. And let me show you my test results that I've done. And usually that'll shut people up like in seconds.
Not only that, you're not, it's one thing to say I'm using the free product and I'm using the $20 a month product and I'm using the $200 a month product. There's a difference in expectation, right? I expect you to have access to tools that I don't see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And so, I don't know. I think, I don't know. For me, it's like so much in selling and influence, Chris, is belief, like we talked about, how you have to have faith and you have to have a belief. And so what I'm trying to do is manufacture this belief and faith. They're just hard work. And so I convince my subconscious that no, I've done the work. I've done the reps. I've paid the price. So at this point, I can call myself an expert because I've spent time doing it.
So I'm going to go back to a different idea of how we talk about it. You've got an identity in your head that you want to be.
Yes.
And you figured out the things that identity can do, the skills it needs, the knowledge it needs, the experience it needs, and you're trying to build up to that identity. And once you've got that identity, then and you've internalized it, then you can project that out.
Yes, because basically I'm trying to get myself to believe it. And I'm getting myself to believe it by just actually doing the work.
And the funny thing is, like when you're on this path on anything where you're learning something, by the time you're at a point where you can discuss it like we discuss things, you're probably better than 80% of the people out there. You are in the upper part of the population. But when you're surrounding yourself with people who know more, or who know more specific aspects of it, it often feels like you don't know this stuff because they know it better than you. But when you compare yourself to the populace, the major group, you actually are an expert. So it's understanding, it's getting to a point where that expertise gives you enough confidence to speak on something, but also enough humility to know that, oh yeah, these other people know more than me.
Yeah, and it's very much like anything, talking to Elon Musk or talking to Jordan Peterson. I mean, I've spent literally, Chris, I'm not kidding, hundreds of hours. I spend 4 or 5 or 6 hours a day in voice chat, running tests, just figuring stuff out. And it's like, then if other people push up against you, it's like, this is what I've done. Let me explain exactly why I'm right. These are the tests that I've run. And if they don't know, they'll immediately back down, because a lot of times people just spout stuff off. It's jujitsu, man. Right. I mean, if you've rolled around on the mat and you've had Alan Goaz, a master level do this, train you for years. If somebody else comes and tries to do something to you, it's like, it only takes seconds to know who actually knows what's happening or what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, even when I look at the feed of videos that the algorithm feeds me on YouTube, I look through there and I can usually tell. Well, I can usually tell who knows what they're talking about or not, just from. And there's a lot of bias in this. By looking at their thumbnail and their title, I judge whether or not I think that they're going to know something that I can learn, right? And then there's half a dozen or a dozen people who I know have expertise that I like to follow. Yeah. And I'll watch those people. But quite often I'll watch a video on something like Obsidian, right? I don't consider myself an Obsidian expert, and yet I've gone deep into a lot of its functionality. So when I watch a video, it's like, well, no, this is not a video for me. This is a video for a beginner. This is a video for whatever. Yeah. And you've got to learn to filter that out and how you signal for that. So some of it is you put in time and you build a trusted network of resources that you like, so experts that you follow. And the other thing, though, is to really be able to kind of look for cues that show whether that person is showing you something that's at the level you're currently at.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you always want to do is challenge yourself a little bit, right? You don't want to challenge yourself so much that you shut down and say, I'm never going to do this again. But you also don't want to make it so easy where you're not learning anything. You've got to figure out the balance. And I think getting good at attuning yourself to filtering through the noise and figuring out what pieces are out there that are worthwhile is part of the critical thinking we always push. We always want to build.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, for me, I can always tell somebody who's faking it versus not faking it by the kind of words they use. Like the real expert will typically start to talk about all their failures, and this is what we've done, and this is how we messed up, and this is how we overcame, right? And a beginner, that's just boistering, you'll never hear them talk about failures or what they've learned or what they didn't do. And I think you can always dig in any, especially in some technical pursuit, by asking, well, tell me exactly how that worked. What problems did you have? What challenges? I mean, walk me through step by step what your failures were. And the expert will always be, yeah, this is what we tried, and we had this failure and that failure, and then we started working around it, and this is how we got through it. And you're like, okay, that's the expert. The others, I don't know, we just did it and it just kind of worked. I'm like, no, it doesn't just work.
I was, as you were mentioning that, I was thinking of comparing a person who's been doing something for 20 years versus someone who just graduated from college and is trying to get a job.
Yeah.
And the person who's got 20 years experience is got a level of self-confidence around just having gone through all these experiences and knowing that they can get through it. And quite often, the person who's just out of school or just learned something and doesn't have the practical experience plays up the things they worked on, and so it almost painting an overly positive picture.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Right.
Yeah,
and part of that is just overall personal development. The older you get, the more experience you've got, the more you can put things into context.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want someone with sometimes you want the ego that comes with not having the experience. Sometimes that makes you take risks and make decisions or gambles that actually do have a high payoff. And that's one thing. As you get older, you generally tend to lose that. Although some serial entrepreneurial people will maintain that for a long time.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I don't know how to describe that. I mean, I couldn't write it on a piece of paper, but I know you can just feel it,
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. And but that's interesting. I don't think everyone can. Now my question is, if you are the kind of person who isn't good at reading another person, and I'll call that reading another person, are you aware that you're not good at reading another person, or do you think you're good and you just aren't good at reading another person? Because generally, when you're talking, you can tell when someone's telling the truth. Personally, I believe I can tell when people are generally telling the truth. I don't know how much I'm deluding myself on this. I can generally tell when they're being authentic. I can generally, I feel that 90% of the time, I can make that judgment in that interaction, right? I'm wondering, does everyone feel like this and that some of them just can't do it and they think they can? Or are people aware I'm not good at judging people off of this interaction?
I don't know. That's interesting, actually. I don't know. The only way that I would know how to do that is you have to calibrate with some external test.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think in most cases, people overestimate their abilities as a general rule.
As a general rule, yes. But I think as you become more self-aware, then you begin to get closer to where your reality is, what your real capability is.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Right? Yeah, that's kind of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, I think the Dunning-Kruger effect is the expert shows more, not lack of confidence, but more, they're more willing to challenge things or to question things than the person who knows less.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they've just man, there's just no getting around the fact that you just got to roll around and do the reps. You got to roll around on the map for a long period of time just to get good at stuff. There's just no way around it.
I also wonder, when you look at someone and they're saying something and you're processing it through your mind, how much of how valid what they're saying is, or how true what they're saying is that you're judging, how much of that comes from your ability to put yourself in their shoes, to put yourself in their mindset, right? So they say they're an expert in this. Do they exude the fact that they have the technical background to be able to do this? Do they come across as having the education, the experience? Because I think you're picking up on cues, not just what they're saying, but the cues that would align with that would make you feel that. And then when they don't have those cues, suddenly you start to question, well, you're saying the right thing, but you're not exhibiting it through these other aspects of how we're interacting.
Yeah, I think so, because there's just something about when you have a shared experience. I mean, you can, in my opinion, if I know something pretty well, like I've had the experience of several years going through it, I can tell right away if somebody's gone through that shared experience. It's like, it's one thing talking about it, but it's another thing you've actually gone through it and you're talking about it from experience. You're like, yeah, you're
picking
gone
up
through this.
You're not picking up on so much on what's being said, but you're picking up on kind of other things that tie into it, that reinforce that what they're saying is actually accurate, right? I mean, let me give a simplified version. If some guy came to you and said, I'm very wealthy and I'm the best salesman ever, but they were dressed in rags, you've got a disconnect coming through, right? Well, why are you dressed in rags if you're actually that rich and that good at sales or whatever, right? And I think that would be the most obvious thing, but there's little cues that you put together with experience and knowledge and ability that they're not coming through when you talk to someone who's disingenuous or inauthentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And most people that are true experts don't tell you they're experts in fields. They're like, no. Yeah, I'm pretty good at this, or yeah, I've been doing this a while. I mean, you hear these little things, right?
Again, that's, you've got to know enough. When you're that high level, you know enough to know there's things you don't know. Yeah, and you're much more able to accept the fact that you don't have to be the know-it-all. You don't have to know everything.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know Alan talks about that all the time. I mean, he's like, listen, if I get in a fight with a person on the street, I mean, they have zero chance against me. I mean, that's not him. But he's always talking in references to other people that are in the ring. And he's like, let me tell you, yeah, I'm scared all the time. I mean, these are trained killers, right? These are not just your average dude on the street. This guy wants to like do nothing more than to take my head off. And there's a certain fear, and he'll admit how afraid he is, but he's like, but when you go in the ring, you can't let that fear, you've got to suppress that. You've got to push that down in some way. Because the moment a doubt comes in your head, or the moment you have that fear up, you'll just make the tiniest mistake. And it's always a version of who makes the first mistake. That's the guy who loses.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question. You've mentioned this in the past. Are you using RAG to set up these the knowledge base for that your client, the person you're doing it for?
On some of them, if I do like a chat bot agent or something, or on the voice stuff, I'll use some RAG to do that. I mean, it's hidden in the interface. You just upload support files, but internal, you can see it's indexing RAG and it does it. Yeah.
So what software are you putting the database in?
Well, this would be like 11 Labs. It's like you just upload a file.
So you're using their tool to do it then?
Yeah, and you upload the file, and it says indexing RAG, and it's probably building some internal database inside that's abstracted away from me. And then a lot of this sort of stuff, then that's the question of, well, how much do you put in the prompt versus what do you put in the RAG data?
So let me ask you this, just in case we lost anyone, what is RAG?
What is it? Augmented
generation or something like that. Retrieval augmented generation, I think is the actual term.
Yeah. It's basically, okay. This shows just how much of not an expert I am, but it's something to do with it takes this information and it puts it into some sort of like a vectorized database that somehow. Yes. They can tie related concepts together, and the shortest distance between this 3D space environment, something I
don't use 3D. I found out this week that was causing me problems when I went in.
Okay.
So that guy you turned me on to in YouTube for the stuff, Nate Jones.
Oh, he's pretty good, yeah.
Right. So he was going on about how he sees AI will change jobs, right? And he's saying, don't worry about the jobs disappearing. Just worry about how the jobs are going to change. Right?
Yeah, right.
So
right.
yeah, as a coder, you won't be writing generic code anymore. It'll be done by a machine, but they still need someone to review the code to optimize it and make sure it works well, because it'll be crap code. It'll be whatever the average ability of AI is. And same thing with almost everything, like customer service. Yeah, you won't be doing tickets anymore, but you'll still need to handle the escalations. And if for a company who really wants the customer experience to be good, you're going to have better interactions, and that'll require people. And you're going through all these different jobs like project management. You won't be doing the day-to-day tasks anymore. You'll be managing at a higher level. So all of that was pretty cool. But he mentioned the importance of the RAG and the vector database and how you set those up, right? And so then I realized I knew at a high level what RAG was, but I didn't really understand how the database worked. So I spent 3 hours this week on just one interaction with. I told AI, teach me RAG, start with a high level, and let's delve deeper and deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah.
And so I got the idea of it's a vector database. And like a vector, what is that? Well, in 3-dimensional space, you have an X, Y, Z, and you create an arrow from the origin, and that's your vector. Right? It's an arrow pointing. I said, great. But we're talking about databases that have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 dimensions.
Yeah.
Right. It's not 3-dimensional space. And so we got to get away from that. You've got to be able to say, okay, it's multi-dimensional space, and it's not like the multiverse in multi-dimensional. It's just, X, Y, Z, time, whatever other things you would normally put into a multi-dimensional. It's like we're measuring, and so then you're measuring words, tokenized words against other tokenized words, or chunks in this case. And you're saying, how close are they? Are they pointed in the same direction as far as the vector? Because that means they're kind of aligned. How close are they in that 1,000-dimensional space? And it turns out the math we use for 3-dimensional space works fine for 100-dimensional space, for 1,000-dimensional space. So the math is the same. So if you get away from thinking about it as, or maybe as a first approximation, you say, okay, here's two things in 3-dimensional space. See how close they are? See, they're both the same direction? All that kind of stuff. Now, start adding extra dimensions onto that, and then you can start to realize just how complex these databases are and how they're mapping to each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got that. And then I started to go into like the different types of vector database technology that they use. And I don't know, I picked up a lot of stuff. I also saw lots of areas how the vector database engineer, the RAG engineer, is not going to catch the problems that are inherent in the data that's going in there. Yeah, you have to have a whole separate person who understands the data and even understands how it could be misconstrued by the AI.
Yeah.
And so that's almost a different skill set than the RAG. The RAG database.
Skill set.
It's not a technical skill set. It's something else. And so I started thinking about it. So now, I went down a rabbit hole and I was going into RAG. I have a much better understanding today than I did on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do the job. I just conceptually understand it.
Well, and I have the most cursory understanding of it. So the reason I say 3D space is that's all I can see in my head.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the math or the insight into actually understand what's actually going on. So what I do then is I tell AI that I've got this set of data. In this particular case, it's Q&A for like a phone person that you're talking to. And I said, I want you to format this in a way that 11 Labs would like to use this and how it sees it. And it knows 11 Labs. It says, yeah, I'm going to format it in these question and answer pairs. And then what I'm going to put indexes based on each question. So that'll help it group it together when it translates. And I'm like, okay, I don't really understand it, but okay, you seem like you do. So I'm going to have to assume you know what you're doing in this case.
You got tokens and then you got chunks. And the chunks, I believe, are what they actually vectorize.
Okay.
And then somehow the chunk is given a vector and other chunks are given other vectors. And then it's able to do a mathematical calculation to figure out when things are close together. Yeah. And that gives it its pool of potential responses, right? And then it figures things out that way, as opposed to the typical LLM, which is just going out and doing probability, right?
Yeah, and that comes into transformers and how it works, and it just gets so deep down the rabbit hole.
Side note real quick, I think they said Chat 5 has 10 times the processing power, I think it's 10 times is what they claimed, the processing power of Chat 4. People are saying it's probably closer to twice, not 10 times. But they had to build 100 times the technical background to be able to do that 10 times increase.
Mm-hmm.
So scalability wise, we're gonna have a scale problem pretty soon. Actually, we already do. And with the power consumption we're talking about, so what I asked is are transformers scalable long term, or are we going to need another technological breakthrough? Either transformers become way more efficient, or we just move away from transformers to something new.
Well, yeah, I think they're arguing that now, or thinking, because that's where the reasoning models come into place. It can go down multiple different paths, and apparently the model itself can assign how much confidence I have in this is the right answer. Mm-hmm. And so what it does is it starts to just kill a lot of the ones that have low confidence, like just like a human does. It's like, no, I don't think that's let me go over here, right?
Yep.
And you have multiple paths. And so apparently I just was watching a video today. They were talking about how, and I have no details on this, but how they're now using, with simpler models, using a different algorithm, they can actually get better answers than bigger models. So they're like, this is how we're probably going to be scaling in the short-term future.
So we've talked about this in the past, to be able to hold multiple ideas in your head at the same time.
Yeah.
So you tell me something and I'm trying to reason it out. I don't go down one reasoning path. I go down, well, it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this.
Yeah,
and I put a little bit of thought into each, and I say, well, it's not option C. That the chances of it being that are way out there. And now I've got options A and B, and I put some more thought into it, and I finally get to a point where I go, well, option B is beginning to break down. Let me drop it. Now I'll put all my effort into option A. Mm-hmm, I think this is the way. I don't want to say a properly working human mind, but an efficiently working human mind, I think, works.
Yeah. That's when you've got an idea and I think they call it like a thought experiment, right? In the scientific method.
Well, because I think a lot of people don't automatically go to this, what are the three options here? They just pick one option that they think that they either gut react or feeling wise think is the most likely, and they go down that path. Yeah, and if it's one of those situations where it's 90% this is likely, then they're right often enough that they're okay. But when you're something that's where the other options have a relatively high probability, you need to go down multiple paths. And if you go down one path, stop and come back and go down another path, that might work.
Yeah.
But the real efficiency is being able to go down multiple paths at the same time and then exclude the ones that aren't worth putting more effort into.
Well, and that's the reason that exact logic there is the reason why I'm uncomfortable turning off the $300 Grok thing. Because so basically the analogy is that, Grok right now it's like one PhD in whatever sort of subject you want to go down. Where Grok Heavy is like it's sending this thing out to like multiple PhDs, and they each go on their path, but they're constantly talking to each other along the way. And so they're kind of riffing off of each other in a sense. Because like, let's say you and I are solving a problem. Like we'll be going down a path, but it's like you'll say something or I'll say something that might slightly alter your course. Like, I didn't think of, okay, so that might vary your course just a tiny bit. And it's hard to exactly calculate how much that matters to the end answer,
So as you were talking about not wanting to quit Grok, it occurs to me, using something like N8N or something else where you've got the API access to these models.
Yeah.
What if you just went ahead and created an AI agent or whatever that managed all these clients, and you just had you send in the prompt, and you have the agents identify. I send the identical prompt to 4 different LLMs that you've got APIs to. You've already got the APIs, right? So you have one interface that does that is doing identical work across 4 different LLMs, and you see what comes back. That's kind of it's not quite as specialized as the agents you're talking about, but I think it would be interesting to see the output. And if you wanted to get really fancy, you could say, okay, this is the one where I start with Grok, and then it goes to whatever, and it ends with Claude. And you could actually have it take the feedback from one to feed the prompt for the next one.
Yeah.
So take the feedback from Grok, take the original prompt, now give it to Chat. Now take Chat's output, take the original prompt, and now give it to Claude.
Yeah, right.
Because you could generate that with an N8N very simply.
You could, and that's what I'm doing right now. my thought is before I automate something, I need to develop the algorithm and prove that it works reasonably well. And then I can start to automate that algorithm. I don't even know what the algorithm is at this point, other than just sort of fishing around and trying to get certain patterns, you know?
So this is one where I'm going to argue the action over thought, which is rare for me because I always want to talk over everything. You know you're going to get an output. And I think you kind of need to see it in action to judge.
No, you do.
And
right.
and because of how easy N8N is to set up these flows, I think you could set it up really quickly and then just start immediately testing, and then which would then start judging the output you're getting. Because I think what you're doing makes sense from a scientific standpoint. Is let's figure out what's happening. Let's figure out what's going on here. But this is one of those things where I'm wondering if it's just easier to start getting output.
Well, it could be. It could be as long as you understand, at least have an idea of the algorithm. Right now, it's like brand new to me, and I'm just sort of in.
What algorithm are you trying to figure out? The internal workings of the LLM, or how your process of going from one to the other works? What are you trying to figure out?
Yeah, number two. Now, understanding number one will probably help to fine tune number two. So in my mind, there's two ways to work at something. One is you can actually understand internally how this black box works. And so now you can probably guess its outcome much better. I'm thinking, I don't really understand this black box. So basically I'm just going to tell it to do this. I'm going to okay, I see I push there, it comes back there. I see, then I push here and I do this. And so it's training me more than anything, you know?
So I'm thinking if you have, let's say you've got 3 LLMs that you're paying for, right? And you've got A, B, and C. And so you could set up a flow that says, I'm going to give you a prompt. I want you to run it through A first, then B, and then C. And then give you the output. And then the next one goes B, C, and A. And the next one goes C, A, and B, or whatever. And you just set up the flows. And you look at the output and you say, which one do you like the best? Right? And your judgment here is not that objective. It's more subjective. Which one do I like the best? And there might be some objectivity in your judgment, but there's probably a lot of subjectivity in it as well. And then you can start to tweak the prompt that goes with that, right? So, here's the prompt. Run it through A, B, and C. When you get the output from A, add this to the prompt. When you get the output from B, add this to the prompt. And that's you tweaking your process to try to maximize it. But you might find that the output from A will never be my final output. It's just not good enough. I want Claude to brush it up and polish it up. So Claude will always be my last LLM.
Yeah.
All right. I think you could work that out by just doing it in many ways.
I definitely understand the idea. I just haven't got there yet. Because I'm still just like a child, just moving blocks around like,
what I'm just getting at is I'm wondering if you're getting stuck in, I need to understand my algorithm versus let me just test a whole bunch of algorithms.
I mean, probably so. Probably. I'm not going to argue against that.
I do it all the time too. I'm not judging you on it. I'm just commenting on it. So
I just haven't even got the brain power even wrapped around that idea yet. I'm like a child just moving blocks around, understanding. Oh, I see. I picked this up.
Can you give me an example of a prompt you're working with or playing with? I just kind of because prompting is so broad in what it can be. So like, give me a prompt of something you might be trying to do.
Oh boy. Okay, so let me give you like the latest one, and this is so cool because this is one thing that Gemini helps you with. Because one of the biases that ChatGPT 5 has, it wants to launch off and just go to work as quickly as possible. So I'm constantly saying, now before you go do anything, let me just think this through. Let's have a conversation about this so that I can. So I'm sort of developing the prompt. And it doesn't want to do that, man. It's like a wild horse. You've got to constantly be pulling back on the reins, right? It just wants to go run off and do something.
Yeah, that's one of the things that upsets me about the standard LLM is it wants to solve your problem when you haven't figured out what the problem is yet.
Yeah, right, exactly. Where Gemini is kind of interesting because you're in deep research mode, it like walks you through that. I don't have to hold it back. It's saying, okay, this is kind of what I'm hearing. And then it shows you, these are the steps. This is my research process that I'm going to go through. And then it's like, is there anything else I should know? Or is there anything else you want to include? That's the paid version, right?
Or the higher paid version,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that works the same on the other one.
So right now, I don't have a paid Gemini version. So let me play with it and see if it does that. Because I really like that form of interaction. I don't want it to commit to doing anything until I've worked out everything in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've only ran a few things. I just got it like 2 days ago. So, I mean, it's not like I have a lot of experience, but that's one of the first differences I just noticed. And it's so interesting just playing with different LLMs. There's definitely different philosophies underneath them. And just by watching it work, and that's why I said previously, when I said just watching it think, because it exposes it in a way that I haven't seen before. And I'm like, oh, that is so insightful how it's going through. It's like very similar to the way I would process a problem. Like in my head, I don't speak it out loud. I'm like, okay, I got these two contradictory bits of information. How do I reconcile these things? I go look at like, what's the quality of this source, but how would I actually decide which one is better? Like if I have two scales and they both are giving me different weights, how would I decide which one is accurate? I'm like, well, I need to go get a better reference. I need to maybe get a third scale. And if two agree, I got more confidence, but that still doesn't guarantee that the weight's right.
So this is right. This is going back to like, how do you judge the quality of your AI implementation, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm thinking security and privacy where I started with a lot of this, but at the end of the day, it's like, I want to make sure the output of my, whatever AI I'm implementing is usable by my workers, by my clients,
Yes.
by my customers. So there's a quality control in what's coming out. And there's a variability in how the LLMs work. There's that temperature setting. There's other aspects. How do I ensure that the output is, in fact, an answer that's correct every time it gives the answer?
Yeah, right.
And so that's like, that's what you're doing. In this case, you don't know what the right answer is, so you need to figure out a method to measure that. And I'm like, yeah, how do we get it to answer the right way? Even if we know what the right answer is, how do you get it to ensure that it's always giving you the answer the right way?
Yeah, I don't know. These are all great questions, and they're all things I'm aware of, but I probably haven't written down a rigorous approach to it. It's more of I'm just running through this by feeling. It's intuition at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure it out on my own because I don't have anybody that's significantly smarter than me to guide me, right? It's like you can't go out and hire a genius AI coach, right? It's not like in jujitsu where you can go to a master and you can roll around for a couple. He's like, oh, this is exactly your problem. This is how to fix it.
You have some people who put a lot of thought into it, like we were talking about Nate Jones, and there's some others out there. The bulk of people that I see are trying to find a way to learn about it and then to make content about it, right? That's what a lot of people are out there doing, and they're tying it back to maybe consulting or building something. These are all people who are actually building something and then showing you what they learned as they built it, which is kind of what you're talking about, recording yourself. But if you really want to adjust your thinking on this, well, I wonder. So you know Tom Bilyeu, right? Mm-hmm. Impact Theory on YouTube.
Yeah.
He keeps pushing his founders course that he's starting up next month or this month. And his big thing is he believes that a lot of people are going to have to be founders of their own companies going forward as AI changes the landscape. Yes. And so his idea is to help you build out your business. He's got two courses, one for like people who are just starting off and one for people who are taking existing businesses higher. Yeah. And I'm wondering how, and he loves AI. He's using AI for coding, for graphics, for all kinds of stuff, marketing. I'm wondering if they have if his course or a course like that would be able to really give you specifics on here is the way that we would use AI to solve this problem. Because that's like, in essence, you want coaching on that. So you already know you can make it solve a problem, but you want to optimize that for the best way in that situation, in the current model landscape to be able to do that.
Yeah. And right now, Chris, I'm just overwhelmed because I spent $3,000 on another course. I haven't even logged in yet. I paid like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I logged in once initially. And I'm saturated, right? I'm saturated at this point. So, and then now
you need to go to sleep listening to these YouTube videos.
I think so. And now my new saturation is now I've started a network. And what I've found is that maybe I can slow down my rate of learning because my knowledge base is so, and God, this is going to sound like I'm such a dick and so egotistical. But it's like the reality is I am so far ahead of who I'm trying to help actually.
Oh,
it's they're still, I'm like, okay, I even though I feel like a total idiot and I feel like a child doing this sort of stuff, I can
unless
still
they're
help,
a SaaS company or an AI automation company, they're not going to know anywhere near what you know.
Yeah, right, exactly. And in my mind, I'm just like such an amateur. I know nothing, right, compared to other people.
But this is why. So I try to make an effort to network a little bit too. But when I'm going where there's a bunch of professionals working for larger companies, then a lot of them have experience using AI or implementing AI or buying AI. But when I'm dealing with small businesses, they're so busy running their business. The level of understanding they have with AI is very like magic, how magic works.
Yeah, it is. It is. And pretty much, I mean, pretty much everybody I talk to is this, it's the same pattern over and over again. Yeah, I'm on the $20 version of Chat and I use it to, hey, Chat, help me write an email to this client. And it's like 1 or 2 line prompt and they just copy and paste and stick it in. That's where they currently are. It's like the thought of reiterating back even a couple of times is just foreign to them.
Which to me is the crazy thing, right? I mean, but they're not approaching it as an intelligent partner that they can springboard ideas off of.
Yeah, right.
It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
They look at it as a robot, a task manager, someone who does a task.
Yeah.
Here, do this for me, and I don't want to have to think much about it. Just create a marketing campaign for me, and generic for whatever I do.
Yeah, right.
Whereas if you say, let's have an interaction. Let me tell you about the background. Let me tell you about what makes us special or different than other businesses. You give it all that, and it has so much more context to work with, and it can develop a much better marketing campaign because you've given it more points of data to work off of. But that does not. That's not a single prompt. I mean, maybe you can find a way to single prompt that, but honestly, it's probably much easier for someone who doesn't understand prompting to do it through interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way I'm going at it, because I'm at my core, Chris, I'm trying to figure out like what's the nature of this thing? What is this thing? How does it think and how does it work? And I'll tell you probably one of the breakthrough for me is I'm like, okay, I'm going to actually just go talk to AI and I'm going to have it teach me, because it's training me as much as I'm learning. I'm like, how do you think? Like I just put one prompt in and immediately came back with something that says, well, I don't really think. Mm-hmm. What I do is I'm more of a pattern matcher. And I'm like, oh, that explains all the data. So it's matching patterns. So then I immediately thought in my head, I'm like, oh, so if you can match patterns, can you simulate? It's like, of course, I'm great at simulating stuff. And that's where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, so I could build up a bunch of business avatars and run messaging tests against them. And so I went down that rabbit hole for like a month and got some really good results from that.
That makes sense. So one of the things I thought is, I think we're all pattern matchers to an extent,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
How good we are at pattern matching is one of the reasons why I loved having a breadth of knowledge, because you see patterns in things that other people would not even realize are related.
Right.
And I think AI, that's the power of AI, is to be able to do that. But it's, even though it's pattern matching, it's also probability. It's figuring out probabilities of things. And so where the human will come up and say, oh, I see this pattern to this thing over here, and no one else has seen that before, I'm going to call that out.
Yeah,
versus AI is probably like, oh, that's low chance of anyone calling that out, so we'll go with the highest probability. So even though AI can see it, unless you prompt it in a way to call it out, you're not going to find those kind of random off edge cases, whereas the human can default to thinking about those edge cases.
Because our brain just works in a very different way. It's just, it's crazy. And so one of the things that I'm learning is, because I think in AI, there's 2 ways you can go. One is you can use AI and you can get dumber, or you can use AI and you can get smarter.
Yep.
And it depends on how you want to view the relationship with this tool, right? So in my mind, I'm totally extracting out, I'm thinking, what's the nature of this thing? Like what's the nature of a cat? And then what's my relationship to it? And that's what I'm still trying to figure out.
So I often am saying now, are you outsourcing your thinking or are you augmenting your thinking?
Yeah, right.
So I think that's my simplified way of saying that. I think you're getting to the behavioral aspect. So what does that mean in your behavior? Right? Because if you're augmenting your thinking, you're treating the tool, and it is still a tool, but you're treating it in a manner that is not very tool-like. It's much more treating it like a person, like an intelligence. Versus when you're just outsourcing your thinking, it's just a robot that you're telling it what to do. It's a tool that does your thinking for you.
yeah, it's a very advanced tool, and there's a relationship that you have to have. It's sort of like flying an airplane. I mean, it's not like you just say go and take off. I mean, there's all this nuance to it. You need to understand its nature and
So
operate at its
when you
edges, right?
interact, do you interact almost like it's a person?
I do, because I just inherently, that's
Well,
what I want to do.
I think this is a key thing. I think whether you want to think of it as a person or not,
Yeah.
if you act as if it's a person, that forces you in the way you're processing to act in a way where the interaction is much more constructive. I'll say.
Yeah. Could be.
Whereas if
Yeah,
you think of it just
possibly.
as a thing and you interact with it as a thing, you don't buy into its input as much, or you don't value its the feedback as much. So I'm wondering if almost the rule we should tell people is act like it's a person and talk to it like it's a person, and you'll get more augmented thinking results as opposed to.
Yeah. So this is what I would say, right? Which is not right, but I would say this. Yeah, I think imagine it's a person. Imagine you have this, young, really smart intern, but has no idea what they're doing. Like, if you wanted to write them an email back to a customer, what would you have to tell them? It would definitely be more than just write an email to this customer. You'd have to give it the context. This is, we're writing for a bank, and this is kind of our values, and this is our things, and this is the context that we want to write it in. So you might take you an hour to explain all this to get the first email out. But as soon as they understood that, now they could be writing emails. Maybe it only takes 5 minutes the next time.
So Scott, you're of a person who recognizes that there's context, there's assumptions, there's knowledge in that interaction that you're
Yes.
bringing to the table when you write that email.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that everyone thinks that way. There is that in everyone's response, and people who are better at responding have better knowledge in the background. But
Yeah.
you're thinking at it from a process perspective. What is the process here? Well, I'm bringing this knowledge, I'm bringing this ability, I'm bringing this skill together to be able to generate this artifact that I'm creating, this email
right.
that I'm creating, right? And a lot of people just inherently over time have learned, how do I write an email to respond to somebody on this, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't know
But
that
I
they've
think-
ever thought through the pieces that go into that.
But here's the thing, Chris, right? They don't have to. If you use the analogy, treat this just like you would a human being. Like if you say, "Oh, this is an intern that
You're
wants to
training
be
your
super
12-year-old
helpful."
kid to write the email for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And that's
then,
why I'm
so
saying-
what would you have to tell them?
That's why I was pointing out, do you interact with like a human? And I think that in and of itself gives you a much better frame to interact in a constructive way than to
Yes.
treat it like a thing. So I'm saying whether you believe it's a thing, it's an entity that needs to be treated like a human or not, just acting that way will get you better results.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way I would explain it to somebody. But here's
So,
the other thing.
That's the advice
It's
you would give
n-
them, right? If you were
That's what
telling them,
advice I
hey,
would get them.
Yeah.
But still, that's not accurate, right? That's better. But it's like, now you need to understand, what's the nature of the thing? How does it think? How does transformers work? How does the underlying circuitry, how does it make decisions?
are you saying the average person who's going to be using it needs that knowledge?
No.
See,
No.
I'm back to this. You meet someone at the Chamber of Commerce who runs a small business and they want to learn more about AI. What do you tell them?
I would tell it, imagine it like it's an intern that really wants to please you, that always wants to say yes, no matter what you ask it. And
How do you interact with that person and act
how
that
do you
way?
interact with that person?
So that's what I was
exactly.
getting at is what is a piece of information that we could give that's valuable to someone who doesn't understand really what AI can do for them? What's that first step? And I think the first
That
step
right
is
there would be the best
I would tell them,
could give them.
use dictation, talk to the thing, and
Yeah.
talk to it like it's a person who doesn't understand what you want, and you've got to be very clear as to explaining what it is. So
Yeah.
like you said, an
And
intern or a 12-year-old or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it wants to please you, and it never wants to tell you no, and it never wants to tell you you're wrong.
Yep.
It
That's
always
why
wants to make you feel
I started
good.
to make an effort to say, stop giving me sycophantic answers. Stop using
Yeah.
all these descriptive words. I don't need that. Just give me the information.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I would tell it. Okay, I want to put a pause there. But then in addition to that, my understanding has to go much deeper, because yeah, you can reason up by analogy and you can connect the known to the unknown. but I still, Chris, I need to understand the true nature of what this thing is, right? And it's not human. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have emotion. You can literally copy another instance of it and it starts back from square one again. It has no memory of any past, right? It doesn't remember that you yelled at it. It doesn't.
Well, and so this is obviously, memory is one of the biggest constraints people have in interacting with it, right? And figuring out a way to minimize the amount of time you spend retraining it on things is that's a problem. If you can solve for the average user in a non-technical way, you can solve it for them. Well, that's probably a pain point you could make a lot of money off of right there.
I know. I'm trying. Because
you set up a project in Claude or in Chat, and it's got limitations, right?
Yes.
And if you want to set up a RAG database for them, that has a lot of initial buy-in and effort that's going to be required and cost. So coming up with a simple way that's not overly technical for people to set up persistent memory of things you've already worked on, that's probably $1 billion business right there.
Well, way more than $1 billion, Chris. That's what Chat 6
well,
is
you
all
wouldn't
about.
You wouldn't be the only one doing it. As soon as you started doing it,
no.
So.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's sorry, Scott. You're only going to get $1 billion out of it. That's it.
Yeah, that's where Chat 6 is going already, right? I mean, they're already talking about this memory, and it can.
Yeah, but I'm now worried about compute power and just overall memory. The sheer hardware to back all this up. I mean, what I love AI, but it's probably one of the most ungreen technologies that's out there in the long run.
Very ungreen. Yeah. And,
so
and that's why they're going to, there's two philosophies. One is just, let's just make the thing bigger and just train it with more data. But the problem is it's not like you spend twice as much compute power and it gets twice as smart, right? It starts falling off like crazy.
Yeah. It's like 10 times to get twice as much, right? So
yeah, right. Exactly.
And then the question would be it be better for me to build 10 of the identical compute power, or to build one that's twice as powerful? Right? Are you getting exponentially better results? I mean, because like what you were talking about, if I split up the work amongst 10, maybe I get and I just change the way it reasons, I might get as good a results.
Well, and we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that. So it's probably going to be some hybrid approach. And so basically you've got two approaches to this. You got the open AI that's like bigger's better, right? Let's just build a bigger gun. And then you've got more of the Elon Musk sort of thing saying, well, yeah, we want to build a big gun, but we've got to have a better algorithm. And then you've got the Chinese people are saying, you guys are idiots. We're gonna make it almost as good for 1/10 the cost. And their stuff is really good,
So my understanding, and it's really just a comment somebody made, but my understanding was that DeepSeek, the big thing it did was they went into the core, how it thinks in the programming. And since they didn't have access to the high-end tech, they got their performance out of kind of re-engineering the programming behind how it thinks.
Yes.
Which then tells you that that's one method to get improvements right there, right?
Yes.
You do that with the tech.
Yes.
So I'm actually wondering if compute engineering, now you can get all these jobs about compute, right? I'm wondering if compute engineering ends up becoming that. It's like how to change the internal thinking process of these machines to maximize the limited technical capabilities you might have.
Yeah, that's the algorithm. That's what computer science does. Is it says, look, we could solve this problem just by pure crunching of it, or we could have a smarter algorithm.
So Scott, when are you going to set up your own AI in-house?
I don't know. Someday. I've been wanting to do that actually someday, but
it's just a distraction. Get one of the smaller models like Llama or something. Set it up on a server. Because my understanding is even with the weaker models, you can actually give it all kinds of tasks that it can do over time. That will benefit you.
And I'll do that at some point, Chris. I just got so much stuff on my plate, and it's not prioritizing by power. It'd be fun, but it's like right now my power move is networking and getting on as much media and propping myself up to like what would an expert do and say. And so I'm writing a book right now as well too. And so now I'm starting to go down the pathway of how do I communicate effectively? Because the smartest guy doesn't win. The guy that can communicate most effectively wins.
Well, so I was at on an online event yesterday that had all these people pitching their startup ideas, and they were looking for help, right? So most of them were looking for technical help, like a CTO to join their startup and do things. Some of them were looking for funding. Most of them were early before funding. They don't even have an MVP yet, right? Most of them. But I could tell some people were good at the pitch and some people weren't.
Yeah.
And this one young woman, I don't know, I'm guessing mid 20s, late 20s, gave her pitch. And I was like, that's a really good pitch. And then I went online and looked at who she was, and this is her third startup pitch that she's done. She's done two startups so far. So I'm like, oh, well, see, this is someone who understands that. And I'm like, yeah, there's a skill there, because you've got to connect with people at a level that they understand the technology, they understand the solution, the problem you're solving, the solution you're presenting, and they have to believe that you're saying there's a market there for them for you to solve.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you actually have a product that you're selling already, or are you the intention is to sell your service and then you build the product for them?
Right now I have a model of my products. I'm developing a story right now. So like I had a meeting, when was it? Thursday? Yeah. Yeah, my gosh, that was yesterday. I can't believe
it was yesterday.
It's like, man, it's so weird. I work so much now. It's like, yeah, that was just yesterday. It seems like a week ago. So I had we have a local congressman in our particular area. So we had a meeting with his representative. And so I brought some research data to him. And it was so nice to be quality. Like, yeah, this is exactly the problems that we're having. And so in the Fort Smith area, close to where I live, like 15, 20 minutes away, they're building a foreign pilot training center here for the F-35. And they're going to be pumping close to $1 billion into the local economy, just like
this is for people that the U.S. is selling the F-35 to train their people to fly it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so one of the huge areas, because it's one of the huge problems, because it's a smaller area, is the fact that you just can't get good help, right? Because these are very technical jobs. And so there's a labor shortage.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you've got a lot of people that are not super smart here. And
they've never had to be at that level of thinking for jobs, right? So now you're bringing in jobs that require that. You got to get people up to speed somehow.
Yeah. And so they typically are not going to have as much problem because they've got just a lot of funding. So they can just pay a lot of money to get the right people in, right? If you have $1 billion budget, all of a sudden you have more options available to you.
People are willing to move, yes.
Yeah, they'll move if the price tag is right. But here's the problem. My target market, which is the small to medium-sized business, maybe in the range of maybe $500,000 to maybe $2 to $3 million in revenue, typical chamber companies, they're getting squeezed. So one is they have trouble finding good labor. That's the same problem as the big companies, but it's even worse for them because they just don't have the budget to pay for it. The second problem is they're getting squeezed because inflation, even in Arkansas, it's like the prices are doubled for everything from the time I moved here, actually. And so their costs are going up, but the consumers are being squeezed, and they're like, oh, we need better and better deals. So that's squeezing margin on these small companies, actually. It's a second problem. Third problem is because of that squeeze, the businesses are not wanting to invest in new tech, the things that's going to directly save their life because they don't have enough money. So there's like this triple whammy problem coming in. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to overlay my solution with a small business with what the local congressman is doing, actually, because if I can get his buy-on, he knows these small businesses and he's got relationships and he can just point me where to go. And, you have like a congressman saying, yeah, I think this dude can help you. Why don't you talk to him? It's like, yeah, that's a nice introduction, So with that in mind, this is where I'm positioning it, is that I think we're in a very special time that when you combine in automation with AI, with the intelligence of AI, right now, for the next maybe 2 to 3 years, that's a superpower for these small businesses. And I think I can help radically improve their profit margin and help them make more money. And in fact, they might even have the strategic advantage over the big guy because these big companies, they take forever to implement stuff. Small businesses can move very quickly and we can implement this AI technology very quickly. And what I can do for very affordable prices is I can start to implement enterprise level dashboards because the technology is there right now very quickly into their small business because I've had experience doing that in the past. And maybe there's just a little window here that we can really, really help out. And that's my pitch. And I'll tell you, a lot of people are going, yeah, those are the problems. And the third one I didn't mention yet is when they make decisions, they need to drive it off their data. Most of the time the data's in the business, but they don't know how to interpret the data into actionable items. I think I can solve all three of those problems. We're in a unique thing. And I'm telling you, that pitch, if I just work it and get it better, a lot of people are like, yeah, those are the problems. And yeah, I can see how that would work. And so I think I'm on to something. My story is starting to get polished. So now I'm feeling like I want to spend more time working on my pitch and my story than the technology at this point.
Can I ask you a question, Scott?
Yeah.
How are you intending to make money off of this? Are you charging a monthly fee? Are they buying some package deal and then having a monthly fee? Because one model that I've heard some companies do, which I find interesting, but it doesn't quite fit in with your narrative, is you analyze the business. You say, here, I can save you 10K a year here. So let's split it. You give me, you say 5K, I get 5K a year. And it's a 3-year contract, 5-year contract, whatever like that.
Yeah, most people are not going to do that. That's too much. From what I've seen, they'll give you up to a third of it, but it's not for a long period
whatever
of time.
The number is. But I'm wondering if that doesn't fit well with the you can sell more and make more money, right? Because then there's no savings because the savings is pretty easy. Like you're already spending 10K a month on this or 10K a year on this,
right?
And basically, you give me 3K of that and you keep 7K yourself. That's an obvious win.
And they'll do that
I've
for a
got to
while.
Spend extra. But the other option is or you spend X amount of money a month and you have this upside. But the problem is the upside isn't realized yet. So there, it's something that has to happen. So I'm wondering if you can mix the two somehow. One gets you some services, you get paid for it, and then these other things that you offer, that's a monthly cost that isn't based upon savings, but upon them getting the service, and then they can leverage that to increase sales.
Well, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just coming in radically discounted prices just to cover my cost. And everybody wants me to do it for free, and then I'll pay you later. I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't, because you won't appreciate it. You don't do it. And like, unless you've got skin in the game, you're not going to do this. So I'm like, no free work. Because I'll tell you,
but that's why I'm wondering, like, if you did do the work for free and said, okay, if we want to implement this, it'll save you 10K, and you just give me 3 of it. You think that's still so now?
Yeah, because I can't see it. They just. Chris, they can't see it. They're so embedded into the weeds on this stuff. Okay. For the small to medium business, it's a hard sell. So that's why I need to develop influence to get them to move to that. So I'm going to do an implementation fee, and then it's going to be some sort of a monthly tool fee as well, tacked onto that. But I've got to get 5 or 6 data points to actually prove it solid. So I'm like, don't listen to me. Go talk to Bill or Bob. They've done the thing. Go talk to them how it works.
So are you just selling services, or are you selling yourself as like a fractional CTO or something like that too?
Yeah, all of that. So there's multiple things, right? So one is I've got a funnel coming in where they take this quiz. I think I showed you a couple weeks ago. And so I'm trying to expose what kind of profit leaks they're having. Then the next one, we go to something called a leak buster call. These are 2 free things. And then the third one is like a blueprint. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually design a system for you, and you're going to pay me $500 to do it. And it's probably worth way more than 500, but at least I get some sort of revenue coming in. And then the step after that is like, okay, now you've got the plan, so you can implement it yourself, or I've got other options, or I can do it for you. And so then I call that the engine 360, and I'll charge anywhere from $3 to $10,000 to plug maybe 2 or 3 holes. And then along with tool fees of maybe somewhere $300 to $400 a month in tool fees. And I'm just white labeling and reselling stuff, reselling my N8N stuff. And then there's another thing called the Sentinel, that then now, if you want, for anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month, I'll kind of just make sure I monitor your systems. We'll kind of tweak and everything. And then another product then is going to be like I saw something called the AI Circle Mastermind, that if nobody has any budget to do anything, I'm like, listen, let's just do this. Come on, for $200 a month, we'll get like 10 to 15 people, we'll do a couple Zoom calls a month, and I can just kind of walk you through sort of just real-time group coaching. So I'm thinking with that whole net, hopefully I'm going to be catching different people in different ways.
On the Sentinel piece you were talking about, are you monitoring the system performance? Or are you monitoring process performance?
Both.
So you'll tell them, hey, this tool is doing this, and this is how well it's doing it, as well as not just it's staying, not just uptime type of information.
Well, and they'll have the dashboard as well too, but it's just having, basically, I'm having my brain on your business. I mean, a dashboard is great, but most people, they just want to be told what to do.
Yeah, but if you find that it's taking them. It used to take them 2 days to respond to an email coming in, and now it's taking them 4 days. That's the kind of thing you'd point out to them?
Oh, well, yeah, that's kind of a problem. I mean, hopefully they respond to an email.
I'm saying seconds, so that's the kind of metric you'll be looking at, or maybe even like conversion rates or sales rates or profitability on one product versus another. They're all types of the things you'd be looking at.
Yeah, okay. All the typical stuff, and it'll all be integrated from Google Analytics to the reports of these things to email open rates, and it's all in sort of one actionable dashboard that comes in that they can see. Yeah, so that is my plan, which is sort of very enterprise level stuff. But my thing is, I think I can implement enterprise level solutions into small companies at a very affordable price point. And if I can get this right, Chris, now I've got to be able to do it at scale. Now I've got to be able to do like 100 of these a month. And instead of hiring people, then I'm going to be using AI to monitor this stuff. I'm going to have my own internal dashboards on groups of companies. And so my hope is that I can have AI agents do all this work for me. I think I can do it. I don't know. We'll see.
If you can get the AI agents to do it all for you, I'll be impressed. That, I think, is the hardest part. I think you can get it to do a lot for you, but there's just some things that I think require decision-making that is not within the AI scope yet.
Well, but I mean, AI is moving so rapidly. In 3 years from now, the stuff we have now is going to be like baby stuff compared to where things are going to be in 3 years.
Yeah, all you're doing is leveling up the need then at that point. I still think the human need is there for quite a while.
Potentially. It depends on what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm going to try to do is define these problems because, Chris, the problems I'm trying to, they don't even have a CRM. They have no follow-up system.
Most small business problems are just from a lack of ability to spend attention to it.
Yeah.
And then if they could spend attention to it, then figuring out how they would solve it. But the first thing is, most cases, they don't even have enough time or mindset to spend attention on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mindset means they don't even recognize it as a problem. That's the first thing. You don't recognize it as a problem. Even if you do, you don't have time to work on it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And most small businesses have that as a problem, right? Because when there's 15 things to get done, this is probably near the bottom. Optimizing,
I just don't have time.
Automating and all that's pretty near the bottom.
It's where I am. I'm saturated. I'm tasked. I just don't have time to do everything. I mean, I want to go do these things, but I think it'd be so much fun to set my own, go out and spend like $5,000 on a nice piece of hardware and then buy a couple of nice GPUs and run my own LLM on. I mean, that'd be fun, but it's not supporting my goal right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I get it. So.
Yeah, you can only do so much. And then right now, my ability to communicate, my ability to speak in ways that people can understand, Toastmasters is such a valuable skill.
Now, just out of curiosity, I remember that guy we had on, Scotty, who was his company makes AI tools and stuff.
Yeah.
He was telling me, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was telling me at the time that they were working to help someone get elected in some kind of kind of role. So they were going to do background research and probably help figure out marketing campaigns and outreach and social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thing. So when you mentioned meeting the the congressman or whatever, I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's a whole separate realm of things you could do there for marketing.
That's the whole separate realm of things. I've already been introduced to probably helping out small little cities in the area, towns, right? And I'm like, I'm actually going to be helping this one lady. She owns a nonprofit, but she doesn't have very strong leadership skills. And I'm like, ooh, this is almost more of a coaching problem, getting her to think about things in a different way. So there's like all sorts of stuff, but I've been so careful because I have such limited capacity. But I think at this point, this is part of my marketing because I've got to build influence is my number one thing. So I'm
well, and
book,
getting customers that you can get testimonials out of is part of that.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. So
I was gonna say that this startup pitch I heard yesterday that I liked was this one woman was saying her goal is to help businesses improve their websites to show up on AI searches.
There you go. Yeah, it's
so
a different.
It's
you got
SEO
to tweak
for
it.
AI
different.
searches, right? So
yeah, right.
You've got SEO for the web, SEO for
Yeah.
AI searches, and I'm like, oh, okay. And she wanted to build a tool that would do the search.
Yeah.
Figure out through its knowledge base what kind of changes could be made, and then you give it access directly to your website through Wix or whatever, and it will make the changes needed. Because most of the changes aren't visible; they're things that are hidden to the viewer, right?
Yeah.
It was an interesting idea. And then you would target it at small to medium sized businesses that would go out and then hire your services to optimize their website for internet web searches.
Yeah.
AI web searches.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the term's called. It's like it's not SEO. It's something very similar to SEO, where you optimize for, AI
you remember
search.
the early days of the web where we just have metadata and we put all the metadata terms in there? Yeah,
you just stuff it in. Yeah. Those were the old days. But we're in the wild west, Chris. This AI thing is because I was talking to the congressman assistant about. We're overwhelmed. We're like thinking about what kind of laws, what kind of guardrails. And he says the problem is, Congress and the government is at least like a year behind.
Oh,
and you think,
they're a year behind on the internet. And how old is the internet?
Exactly. It's like, he was just mentioning just how slowly this whole process, moves.
Like laws against DNS abuse, which is spamming and malware and all those things that go out over. Those laws are far behind. And the thing is, even if you have laws in place, the technology to catch these people and then prosecute them is way behind that.
Way behind.
So you worry about how AI could hurt us accidentally, but how can AI hurt us, through nefarious goals too?
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to the congressman just how fast things are moving. I don't know if you've been following the story of what Zuckerberg's been doing, but just as close as a couple of weeks ago, he's literally throwing around billions of dollars, making $100 million offers to try to poach people from OpenAI for one dude.
I heard there was $1 billion offer. Is that right?
I don't know if it's for a group of people, but I know he's throwing around billions and as high as 100 million for like one guy to come work for him for 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever. And now, Chris, you know what's happened just in the past couple of days? No more spending on that. We're cutting everything off. We're hiring freeze on AI stuff. And I'm like, how do you go from throwing billions around to nothing,
Yeah, supposedly he offered Andrew Tullock, some AI researcher, 1.5 billion over 6 years. Okay, so 300 million a year. Or 250 million a year, whatever it is.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that high, but that's one individual. Okay, that's crazy. And then now there's a hiring freeze.
But they would still probably hire him because if it's the kind of person you're thinking of who can get stuff done.
Yeah, right.
Right. That person is worth a lot of money. It's worth more money than their technical knowledge. The technical knowledge feeds their ability to get things done, but the getting things done is the aspect, right?
Yeah.
You can have the smartest person in the world, they're worth a certain amount of money. But then you can have the person who's less smart but gets stuff done. They're worth more money.
They're worth more money. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to go down that discussion because that is a discussion. But my point is how rapidly things move and the fact that we're throwing billions of dollars around and 2 weeks later, it's like we're doing a hiring freeze. And that's the level and the speed at which things are changing.
That's showing two different things about AI.
Yeah.
right? One is AI is the shiny new object and everyone's throwing money at it and everyone thinks that they need to do it. But on the back end side of it, they're doing crap jobs of it. They're putting things in place that aren't really what you and I would consider real AI. And so there's these things. You saw the MIT study this week that said 95% of generative AI efforts done by companies, the companies are saying that they're not getting any benefit out of.
Fail, yeah.
That study is flawed, by the way, because what's happening here is,
let's talk about that. Yeah.
If you're going to implement something, you've got to know what you're implementing. So you've got to understand your process. You got to understand your business before you go implementing new tools. And in the past, CRMs, cloud services, all these things we've had in the past that we tried to implement, and they failed because people didn't understand their business well enough. They said, "Oh, I got to do that because everyone's doing that." Well, that's great, except what are they doing and why are they successful? Because they understand their business, they understand their people, they understand what other tools are available, they understand their industry, their regulations, all that stuff. If you don't have all that in your plan for AI, you're not going to get what you hope.
Yeah, you have to understand the problem. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons I'm reluctant to move out of this SMB space, because I've worked with so many businesses for so many years, and I was one for 10 years. Man, it's like I understand them. I understand their psychology. I understand the fear that they have. I mean, I understand so many things.
But I think there's also a benefit in that you can build, and with AI, you can build and scale small solutions for smaller businesses.
Yes.
And anything like the risk or privacy profile is a lot less than if you were working for an enterprise organization.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, the chances of them getting sued because something goes wrong is a lot less because they don't have as deep of pockets as a big company does.
Yeah, right.
So I think in many ways, the risk profile for helping them, if things don't go well, is a lot less as well. So you've got that benefit. So maybe the upside is you're not going to make the $1 million sale, but the downside is you're not going to make the $1 million sale, but the upside is you're not as at risk or on the hook if something doesn't work right. And AI does have a lot of volatility in what can happen from it.
Well, I'll tell you, I've already got insurance for that, and I've already paying my small monthly fee for all that insurance.
We talked about this, right? Where someone figured out how to prompt Copilot to give up Salesforce information.
Yeah, how cool is that? Yeah, it's.
When
I say cool, I mean I'm not. I'm just. It's just. We're in the wild, wild west, man. We were like crazy.
Well, that was one comment I saw on a short from Nate Jones, was that he goes, "We're in a world where you can get AI to run code off of websites."
Yeah.
Because it's prompting, right? Prompting is telling it what to do. So basically you can just, phishing attacks. If you can get AI to read a hacked website and do something it's not supposed to do.
Yeah, I know. Well, those are SQL injection attacks. I mean, you can. It's like unless you block for that stuff, but nobody's even thinking about it. Yeah.
Prompt injection is a term, right? Prompt injection attacks, right? Where you're
like an SQL injection attack that's been solved for 30 years, but it's the same thing, right? Same principle.
It's the same thing, but the vector to come into it is totally different, right? How do you get into an LLM? I mean, half these chatbots, are they really only accessible by the company people, or can they be accessed in other ways?
Well, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it or whatever, but yeah, it's a real problem.
Yeah, my joke or my complaint is I get so many big companies are using Copilot as their LLM, which is not my favorite LLM, and yet the reason why they do it is because there's a security wrapper around it, just like there is around all Microsoft products.
Yeah, and that's so going to come out more and more. Yeah.
And so as enterprises really try to incorporate this, you'll either have established companies like Oracle and Salesforce and other companies who would just bring the AI tool in and figure it out as part of it, like Microsoft Copilot, or you're going to get these little one-off businesses who are trying to scale up, and there's going to be a lot more breaches and other types of things. Like you said, it's the wild, wild west. It's going to take a while before it gets regulated and controlled to a point where we're not getting wild, wild west kind of actions out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's okay. I can sell into that. I don't have a problem selling into that because.
Well, no. But you've got, your customer base is not worried about those types of levels of concern when it comes to enterprise level thinking. Is totally different than small business thinking.
Yeah. And there is risk to that. I'm open to it. There is risk. There's data. There's all this sort of risk. And there is possibilities of you getting hacked. In fact, I'm going to say you'll probably get hacked at some point along the way. But here's the other problem: you're going to be dead otherwise. So, because you're going to be out of business. So
Well,
I understand those.
You
We have
you
those
can
problems.
mitigate for a lot of that. You can plan for a
we
lot
can
of that.
mitigate it,
Yeah. So, and if you're the kind of person who thinks about that and it's incorporated into the way you design, then it won't be as bad as if someone who just like they didn't even think about it. They were too enamored with their solution, their MVP, their whatever they were producing. They didn't include all the basics of what you would call software creation or enterprise or network security and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and this stuff is so basic, Chris. Like when you install a new router, can you, for God's sakes, please change the default password? I mean, please, for God's sakes, man, can you just, not have the login information stuck on a yellow sticky note to your monitor that everybody can see? I mean, we're talking about that level stuff, right? We're not talking about anything complicated.
Well, because you've made it easy for anyone to code, by vibe coding, or to create a workflow through N8N or something else, and you've taken away all the required knowledge to build a good system. I mean, a balanced, safe system. And it's going to take time for that to come back in. And maybe the AI or the vibe coding tool can do some of that for you and they can put it in and then they can charge a premium for that. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
and Claude does a good job. I've seen the code for Claude. It actually blocks against errors. I mean, it's not bad,
But the other thought is that maybe if you just had the people who had that in their mindset to start with, you could avoid some of these problems. So.
Well, you could, and people are not aware of it because I've been, this is an advantage of doing stuff for a while. I've been, beat up so many times. I'm like, for God's sakes, like when you close your business up at night, lock the door, please. Lock the door. It's a good thing. When you close your car up, lock your car, right? Don't leave like a valuable that's just don't leave
unless
like
you're in San
$1,000
Francisco,
of cash.
Right? Unless you're in San Francisco,
But yeah, these are just basic things. Yeah, make it hard on people.
But they're basic things because you have. So this is again going back to building a broad understanding of the way the world works, building a broad level of knowledge, right? Someone who's never thought about security and privacy and that sort of things is going to have a hard time defaulting to that. But if you've been exposed to that, you think about, especially if you had experience with it. But even just being exposed to it helps you understand. That's why, being curious and learning more and you fitting that piece of information into your understanding. Like, I can code. Oh, but I've never thought about logins and passwords and all that kind of stuff. Oh, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Think about it. Right?
Yeah.
And think about how could this go wrong? Well, the server could go down. Oh, but I'm on AWS and they've got backups and blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. So maybe it's not as much of an issue. What else could happen? Regulations could change. Oh, okay. Well, that I have no control over. Maybe I can monitor for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's so many aspects to it that if you just ask the question, then you could even go to AI and say, hey, this is my business. What do I need to be concerned about that are potential risks, to have a small business clientele and I'm building software for them? What are the risks I should be considering and planning?
What are the big ones? Just block against the real major stuff. Like just
asking the question is really the first step, right? We always say ask better questions.
Ask better questions.
First thing is ask the question. Then as you begin to understand, you'll ask better questions.
Yeah, right.
And as you ask better questions, you will extend your knowledge in whatever realm it is, and suddenly you're starting to level up your thinking in all areas.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right.
Right? I mean, and to me, it's curiosity is what drives it for me, but whatever it is that drives you learning more, nurture that.
Yeah.
Right? If you have to, if you don't like learning more and you've got to force yourself to do it, that sucks for you, but do it.
Well, you have to. I mean, it's uncomfortable to learn new things because it's like, we've done this all the time and this is the way we've done things. But you're fighting a war. I love my analogy. I know you don't love it, but I love it. It's like you're fighting a war and you got rocks and sticks and Captain Kirk comes up and gives you a hand phaser. And he's like, try this. And you're like, no, that's no good. I don't understand it. Like, dude, all you do is point and shoot, right? I mean, you don't need to understand the technology. But trust me, it's like, it's just going to be a matter of time that everybody's going to have a hand phaser. So, if you can get
I
it
don't
now,
like your argument.
I know.
Basically, he gives everyone the hand phaser, and most people don't bother to learn how to use it. And you are sitting down and figuring out how to use it.
Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, everybody doesn't have it. So just for the next 2 to 3 years, just take I'll teach you the basics on how to use the hand phaser, right? And you're going to excel, because if somebody comes across the street and uses even the most basic technology, like a basic CRM, has basic follow-up, that's going to have a margin 3 times your thing. And even though even the most basic, just fundamental marketing, you're done.
There's so many little areas where I remember I was a consultant, and I was working at one of the big pharmaceutical companies, and one of the things they sold, they made breast implants too, and they sold those cosmetic breast implants. And these doctors down in South America would buy them, a lot of them, because they did a lot of surgeries, but they would buy them on a credit card. And so you ended up with these massive fees, because the purchases were $25,000, $50,000, all on a credit card. And so the banking fees were massive, because the bank was taking 2.5% or whatever it is for each
whatever
of these.
They take. Yeah, right.
And no one had bothered to sit down and negotiate with a bank saying, hey, we're doing $4 million of transactions a month with credit cards. We need a better rate. Yeah, right. No one bothered to do that. I remember we recommended doing that, and we saved the company, gosh, I think it was about $200,000 a month on credit card fees.
Yeah. And I could see that. I mean, my pushback against that, if you want me to steel man that, I'm like, yeah, but Chris, I know we can optimize that, but we're making so much money. It's like we're making 100% margin. It's like, yeah, we're giving 3% away, but it's like we just got to move, right? And it's like if we sat around getting everything perfect, everybody be doing this thing, right?
Scott, then the question to ask is, so what's the pros and the cons here, right? I could spend $100,000 fixing this and then saving $200,000 a month. Or I could spend $100,000 trying to increase sales.
Yeah, right.
And hopefully make $200,000 more a month, right? That would be the average, right? So then if I look at the $100,000 spend, which one has the better ROI?
Yeah, right.
I can do nothing and get no change in what it is. I can spend $100K and save $200K, or I can spend $100K and get how much more, right? And then you would make your decision, say, we're not going to concentrate on improvements. We're going to concentrate on increasing sales.
Yeah, right. Now,
but it's an informed decision at that point. You're making a trade-off decision, right?
But
the first thing you need to do is recognize there's an opportunity here. Is the first thing to recommend to understand, and then you weigh it against the other opportunities out there, and what's your opportunity costs for all these different things. At the end of the day, you go boom, you make a decision based upon that. Yeah, and that's a good place to be, because you can't get hurt either way. I'm more fixing the problem. It's like, look, man, you're bleeding out. You're going to be dead soon. So we got to put a tourniquet on that thing, and it's going to hurt, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be a little ugly, and it's wrought with problems, but you're dead otherwise. So we got to move now. So you're going to tell a doomsday narrative of, oh, the world is changing, AI is going to do this and do that, and your business is going to go under. But yes. Because that's how to get these entrepreneurs to move, because there's so much pain. There's so much other pain there happening. It's like you got to get their attention. Yes. So what's your hook? What's your intro hook? I haven't figured that out yet, Chris. Other than my 3 talking points about this is the difficulty you're having. And if you can say those problems and they believe it, they're like, oh my God, yes, those are my top 3 problems. I got a solution. I think I could help. And it's not going to be perfect. You got the 3 solutions that are part of your story. You got your 3 problems, then the solution. But what's the hook that gets them to listen in the first place? What is it like? I can double your income. I can save you X thousands of dollars. Oh yeah. What's the hook that gets their attention first? The hook is take the 3-minute thing. Here's my card. Scan this QR code on my card, 3 minutes, and I'm going to show you exactly how much profit you're leaking. I'm going to put a mirror up to your business. Now let's talk. So, but do you start because you were mentioning like what is 6%? Was it 6 to 9% or something? You had a number you were saying the average 6 to 9,000 per 100K. Yeah, we got to do it in dollar. We don't do percentages, Chris. We do it in dollar amounts. I don't know if I agree with that, because if they're an $800,000 business, 6 to 9K per 100,000, I've got to then do a calculation in my head at just as much as if I say 6 to 9%. Chris, telling you got to make it real. Per 100,000.
You're not my target customer. You're not them. I understand them deeply.
Okay, you know what? Next time I have a networking event, I'm going to ask him which of these sounds better to you. I'm just going to ask, right? Because I understand your logic, but I don't believe your logic. So I need I need other evidence. I need other people's opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but in my mind I'm right. So I need other opinions to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. Go test it. Go try it. Actually.
Okay, but that's your thing, right? You say the average business loses $6,000 to $9,000 per 100,000 a year.
Yeah. Right.
Just take this 3-minute survey,
right
and you can figure out how much you're losing. Boom. Right. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
That's
it. You take 7 questions, 3 minutes. It's all automated. I'm going to follow up with an email sequence. That's my hook. Yeah. A quiz. Okay. People love quizzes. Quizzes work really well.
Well, because you're offering a freebie for them.
Yeah.
The freebie is, let me tell you how much money you're losing.
Yeah. Pain. Start with pain.
Mm-hmm.
Pain solution.
That makes sense.
And then if you want the fancy formula, then it's like Pain-Agitate-Solution. But people just want the solution. Like, okay, God, I know I'm losing money. I don't even know why. There was a guy I was
watching a YouTube video talking about how to make good LinkedIn posts. And the guy says, he called it the PAS method. Pain-Agitate-Solution.
Yeah, that's
what he was saying. Just keep doing that. Here's the pain. Here's all the problems it causes. Here's the solution.
That's classic Dan Kennedy. I mean, I don't know if you know who Dan Kennedy is.
No,
but
I don't.
That dude is, okay, you should know who Dan Kennedy is because he is the classic dude. Now, what's happening is you can't just always beat people up. You got to just beat them up just enough to get their attention, and then you spin to the positive. But here's how it can work. Here's what happened. I got an answer for you. You don't have to do that. Like, to me, it's like I had a thing, my foot's been goofed up for like a long time.
Yep.
And it's like I went to a new podiatrist. Apparently my existing podiatrists are idiots, right? They totally misdiagnosed this. The guy's like, I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly how to fix you. I know, this is what I do. And I'm like, oh my God, seriously. He's like, yeah, I do this all day long.
And he convinced you? I mean, obviously saying it's one thing, but he convinced you?
Well, because he pulled my x-ray up and he goes, see, this is how your bones are. This is the reason you're having, this is the thing. These are the things. This is why we need to do surgery here. And then we need to do surgery there. And yeah, you'll be able to walk around. Your foot will be pretty much back to normal.
I'm wondering if my knee is ever if I can avoid surgery on my knee at some point. Cause it's got
who knows, but I'm telling you, Chris, it's like magic when you finally go to the right dude that knows how to solve that problem. And he's like, yeah, this is what I do all day long, right? And it's like just the way he speaks about it, you're like, yeah, I kind of believe this, because you've done so much research about it, and he just makes it so simple. It's like, yeah, you just do this, plug this, get a CRI, bum, 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 good, you're good. Well,
I'm going to try this weird blood flow thing I mentioned last time next week, and
yeah, you may who knows? To me, that feels like maybe it works. I don't know. Actually,
it does feel like there's a lot of crystals and stuff involved, but pyramids and crystals.
And that's not to say it won't work. I mean, have you got? No, the first thing I'd say is take a picture, right? You got to take a picture of it and see what's going on.
So I've looked at it. I understand the logic behind it. The problem with so much of pseudoscience, pseudo wellness, is that there is some piece of science behind it, and that gives it some level of credibility. So, but I'm going in there totally skeptical because I'm a skeptical person when it comes down to it.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I'll try it and see. And if it makes me feel better, whether it's truly making the situation better, if it makes me feel better, that might be sufficient.
Oh yeah, as long as you feel better, that's all that you really want. I mean, here's what I'd like to see, though. I want to see a picture.
A picture of what?
I can go in and see of your knee. They take some sort of diagnostic scan and like, dude, that's why you're in pain. See, that bone is rubbing on the other bone. That's the problem, actually.
Yeah, but the situation here is this doesn't fix bone on bone, right? Because if you've gotten to the point where bone on bone's happening, you've either gotten damage to it at some point, or the circulation has gotten so bad that it's deteriorated, right?
Right.
Now the question is, can you somehow measure the blood flow, the inflammation, the liquids that get into joints that don't move that often? Because those are the types of things that cause a lot of arthritic pain.
Well, in that particular case, I'm sure there's some way to do it. I'm sure there's some real-time, maybe Doppler scan or something. You can actually do some sort of fluid flow analysis. I'm sure there's some diagnostic tool so they can see.
I haven't seen any of the clinics that they claim to have done showing anything that I would consider a true test that I would say has, documenting the changes. It's all people feel better. That's it. People went from state A to state B. I'm like, okay,
and that's good. That's better than nothing. But it's like, ideally, I want somebody to come and say, this is exactly the problem. I know exactly how to fix it. Yeah. And you can talk to 1,000 people that I've done. And here's the before and after picture.
It would be really interesting if you said, yeah, we've tested 100 people, 1,000 people, and we've seen ranges of change in blood flow from 10% to 30%, with the average being 12%, or something weird like that, right? Right. You start throwing numbers around like that, and then you start to feel more confident that there's been a systematic process by which they validated things.
Yeah. And here's what I would like even better, actually, and say, look, I can patch this up for you, but unless you do the therapy work, and it's going to hurt like a son of a gun, and it's going to hurt for like 90 days, and unless you go through it religiously, don't even do this, because...
And according to my understanding, this does not fix your problem. This is a lifestyle change. You do this every day for the rest of your life, for half an hour a day or whatever, right? It's like
so this is a Band-Aid. Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, because the issue here is whatever else is causing whatever the problem is. Inflammation, maybe seed oils, if that's what you believe, or other chemicals in your food or whatever that are causing your these problems, right? So this is supposedly a way to help alleviate the problem. And over time, some things heal, But just like what we talked about last time, right? Supposedly getting rid of seed oils will help us, but for those of us who've lived a lifestyle where we've had them for years, it's going to take years to clear out the cells.
But hey, okay, right? But let's assume that's
7
true,
years
right?
to replace all the cells in your body. Maybe that's what it's going to take to replace all the seed oils in your body.
But hey, Chris, let's assume that's true, then start the 7-year clock, right?
Yeah,
that's
fine by me. Yeah.
I mean, because 7 years is going to come in 7 years.
And I think what ends up happening is, we know anytime you make a change and stuff, sometimes it's a slow start and fast at the end, sometimes it's fast at the beginning. And so, seeing how that works, if it's true that this actually does increase blood flow, and we know blood flow helps a lot of things, then you should see changes that you would associate with blood flow.
Yeah,
right. Even if they aren't fixes, if you see those changes, that helps to reinforce that there is some element of truth to this.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll give it a try and see. I told the guy I'm very skeptical, but we'll give it a try.
Yeah, but I would still use hard science as well to somehow do before and after, and to measure it some way, to see it visually, or some way to measure it to see if there's actual real improvement going on.
Well, my measurement's going to be, does the pain go away?
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean you fix the problem, because you could just take drugs and mask the pain, right?
Well, no, I've seen an MRI of my knee. It's not in great condition.
Oh, so you've done the actual real diagnostic work then? Okay,
I know that my knee is in, like, out of 4 stages, it's in the 2nd stage of arthritic whatever.
Okay, I don't even know what arthritis is. I know it's common, but
there's a variety of things. But basically, if you look at my knee, the joints themselves aren't smooth. The bone itself is, So, what happened was, when I was younger, I had a motorcycle accident, and they did surgery on the knee to clean up the meniscus. But I'm missing the PCL ligament in my knee, which means it doesn't move the way a knee should. It's pretty close. It's just not exactly the movement, right? And since I didn't do the right physical therapy years ago, I think the deterioration has been greater than it could have been.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that I could have ever avoided getting an arthritic knee, though, having had the surgery, once the surgery was done.
Yeah, right. So, and physics are physics. I mean, there's only so much you can do,
Yeah.
But I will tell you, though, there's new technology. There's stem cells. In fact, I was talking to Dr. Phil the other day. He's injecting things.
You're supposed to ask him and see if
I
can talk to him.
I haven't talked to him in so long. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, tell him I'm interested, because I told you I was looking at peptides, so BPC 157, which helps the human growth hormone aspect of it. I don't know that that's going to help here, but I know that they use it a lot for healing. I'm not sure there's a lot of healing to do in the knee. It's 20 some odd years ago I had this accident, so healing wise, I'm not sure there's a lot to do.
And in that case, maybe there's no direct solution, but maybe you do a little of this and a little of that and a little, and then it moves it moves to tolerable, maybe,
Yeah, and it is generally. I can get throughout the day without the problem, but if I'm going to be in a situation where I'm standing for an hour or 2 hours, there's a lot of behavioral things I need to do to keep my knee from
Gotcha.
hurting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's more planning.
And it's like I got to pump the knee to keep the blood flow and the liquid flow through there. And so you'll see me once in a while. I'm standing around. I'm sitting there kicking my leg around. It looks silly, but it's what keeps it.
Just to get some movement going on. Yeah. That makes sense.
I can walk fine, but as soon as I stand still for any length of time, or I don't do enough motion in the knee, it begins to build up pain. And I think it's just, I honestly think it's liquid just kind of builds up in that area.
Okay. Yeah. Fluid. Yeah. You got to move. Yeah. And the movement just sort of, like you're saying, pump. It literally pumps. You probably need to elevate, probably, I'm sure, ice.
So one thought on this increased blood flow is you increase the blood flow, it pumps through all areas and it'll help to clear out the liquid. One theory. I don't know if it's true or not, right?
Yeah.
It sounds really great, but honestly, so much of what appeals to us is it fits some kind of narrative in our head. And most narratives in our head, we believe is based in some form of logic.
Yeah, and you always want the easy answer. And sometimes, some things it's easy, other things it's like, there's just going to be a lot of hard work. There's no way around that.
Everyone wants the easy answer. And I'm like, if you think there's an easy answer, you're lying to yourself. Now, there might be an easy, good enough answer.
Yeah, right.
But there's no easy, perfect answer.
Right. Yeah. And that's just a mindset. Tough. That's like the 75 hard thing, is it just literally, you just fundamentally change your belief on stuff.
I assume that solutions are always going to have complexities we don't understand.
Always going to be second and third order consequences.
And whenever you see something that's simple,
it
is so complex to get to that simple. Or it's simplified without going through the complexity, which means that it causes other problems. Someone has simplified something to sell it to you, to explain it to you, and you've lost all the nuance. Or if it's a good, simple solution, it got there by going through all kinds of crap that we don't see.
Yeah, exactly. Like as a general rule in health, just stop putting poison in your body. Stop eating the crap food. Eat only good food,
I heard someone was criticizing an interview. Someone had interviewed the Israeli prime minister, and they were criticizing him. And they're saying, why can't they just have peace? Why can't, once there's a desire to have peace, they can make peace happen, like we did with the Japanese and the Germans. And I'm thinking, do you know what it took to get to the point where the Japanese were willing to give up unconditionally? We dropped 2 atomic bombs on their cities.
Yeah, we had to kill a lot of people.
I mean, let's put that into perspective. Are you there promoting the idea of Israel dropping nukes on Gaza? I mean, it's amazing how people simplify a thought in their head, and there's so much more to it than what they're saying. Right?
That's just
and that's what you sound stupid. Honestly.
Stupid. Yeah, exactly. You're just an idiot.
Are you listening to the words coming out of your mouth? Because it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. And there's just no shortage. If you truly want to understand the problem, you just gotta go there. You've got to experience. You got to dig into it. There's just no shortcut that.
And even then, the more you know, the more you realize that you're missing something, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Yeah. It's like the more you know, the more unsure you are. The less you know, the more sure you are.
Yeah. Until you get past some point, you're like, listen, this particular problem, I've done so many, I understand it so well. We know that this solution works. Guaranteed.
Even then, I'm sure you understand where the weaknesses in your idea are.
Yeah. There's always risk.
This works. Here's the problems with it over here, but this will work for us. Right?
Yeah. I'm almost positive, Chris, and maybe not always. Okay, I'm going to give it 90%. Like if somebody had diabetes and they're overweight, they've got all these issues and everything. If I could control exactly, and you have no choice in the say so, exactly what goes in your mouth and how much you move every single day, I'd almost guarantee you that in a year, it would probably be gone. Or if it wasn't gone, you would be in such a better place than you are right now.
The only caveat I have is how long have you been in that condition? That would be the only thing, because that will dictate how long it takes to get back out of that condition. Right.
But I'll tell you something.
But I agree with you. The idea here is we've had 30, 40 years of the industrial food complex, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Giving us food cheap and easy, and satisfying whatever bliss point in taste that we've got that we didn't look at, or we didn't understand one or the other.
Yeah.
The second and third stream or third order effects. Second order effects, third order effects.
Yeah, like if you just establish super simple rules, Chris, like every time you want to eat, you got to walk half an hour to the place to eat uphill, and then you get to walk downhill when you get done eating, and you don't get a certain amount of food at that time, and you go 3 times a day.
Yeah, but again, if we'd done that with the food that we've been fed for the past 40 years, I'm not sure that you would have reversed it to the same as if you just said, I'm going to give you all natural foods that aren't fried.
Yeah, right.
Right. If I walk half an hour but I'm still eating, French fries and hamburgers at the end of it.
That's why I control exactly what you eat, and you got to work for it to get it,
But again, so this is going back to the industrial food complex over the past 40 years, since the 70s, I guess. And the fact that we were told these things are better for us. We were given things. We were told this. We were told that sugar was okay, fat was bad. We were told all these types of things, and part of it was driven by the desire for the companies to make money,
of course,
but also the fact that we're cheap. We don't want to spend money. So
I know.
we convinced ourselves it was okay to eat this stuff because it was cheaper. That's part of it too. And the industry told us it was okay, so we did.
It's okay. And
but that's why we've got the obesity problems today.
Desires.
That's why we got the diabetes problems today. That's why we've got so many health problems today. Inflammation. Did we ever talk about inflammation in the 80s and the 90s? I don't remember that.
No. Inflammation is cause of almost everything, It's your body saying, just stop putting poison in me. It's like I'm trying to I can take a certain amount.
It's your body trying to fix things, and you're the one exacerbating it. Yes.
Yeah, and at some point, your body can only do so much, and it's going to break at some point.
I just thought this. Sometimes I cough, and I'll get to a cough, and sometimes of year I'll cough a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And my wife says, you need to go take some medicine to stop that. Something's wrong. And I'm like, I've got congestion. Coughing is my body's way of trying to clear the congestion. It is a normal biological thing. And we get into disagreements on this because the coughing bothers her.
Well, that's a different problem. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And because she views it as there's something wrong, and I view it as this is just nature taking its course.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, your body has an amazing potential to heal. It's like, I know some of my chiropractor friends are like, just stop putting poison in your body. And it's amazing that your body will recover. Stop.
The whole seed oil thing. After I listened to that book, I'm now identifying everywhere I can when there's a seed oil in it.
And who knows? I mean, Dr. Mike's like, a seed oil is a big myth, but it's still, even at that point, Chris.
It all comes down to, though, if you believe this oxidation idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some truth to it, right? I mean, no doubt.
Oxidation, inflammation. Using harmful chemicals to make seed oils versus using just fat off of an animal.
Probably not the best idea. I know as a general rule, you want to get it as close to God made it as possible. It's like minimally processed. I mean, if you want to take the tomato up and cut it up and put it in a bag, I'm not considering that processing. That's fine.
Yes.
Right?
So I think there's 4 different levels of processing. But ultra processed is the worst.
Yeah,
right? It's like the hardest. So if you take those tomatoes and you turn it into powder, and then you use that powder into another food, you aren't using tomatoes anymore. You're using powdered tomatoes.
Right. Exactly. A little bit of processing, not a problem, but like completely just rechanging it.
So I'm going to take some ground flour. And then I'm going to take some dried ground meat on top of that, and then dried ground lettuce and dried ground tomatoes and dried ground cheese, and say that's a taco.
Yeah. It's something.
Right? I got all the ingredients of a taco right there. They're just all processed and ground.
But you lose something. It's like in the translation, something gets lost.
Part of what happens is your body digests and breaks it down. And if you've already broken it down industrially, you take away any benefit of your body actually processing it on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It slows down digestion. Suddenly you're basically mainlining all these foods without the chance for your body to slowly digest them.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we're not smart enough. The system is so complicated. We just don't understand all the second and third order consequences. We just don't.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe AI will fix that. Maybe at some point we'll be able to say to truly have capsulized food that makes us feel good.
I mean, maybe at some point, because there's just nothing that beats like living on a farm outside, working all day, making real food, and then coming home and eating it.
From what mindset are you saying nothing beats it?
And from a health standpoint, and then coming home with your family and spending time actually talking with your family and not like watching some stupid TV show. I mean, yes, that's just good for humans.
You say nothing beats it, but as far as how much joy you take in that, I don't know. You know, if you're feeding that dopamine rush by doom scrolling through YouTube, that at the moment it feels pretty good.
Well, at the moment, but what are you optimizing for? Like short-term pleasure or long-term?
So again, it's your mindset, right? So
yeah, like what do you optimize? Yeah, I guess your mindset. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I don't see you out there on the tractor growing your food.
No, I probably should. It'd be kind of cool. I'm trying to do AI so I can buy it. But I will tell you what I do, Chris, is I spend a lot of money on food. I mean, eating good quality food is expensive.
Mm-hmm. This is one of the few not one of the few countries. This is, the first world versus the developing world. That's the distinction, right? Eating cheap in a developing world means you probably eat raw vegetable. You eat vegetables and occasionally meat, and it comes from the farm pretty close by, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close to nature. In an industrialized world, it means you're eating cheap, mass-produced food.
Yeah. I will tell you one thing. I haven't been through a drive-through in a long, long time.
I have. I broke down last month at one point coming back. I think I told you coming back from like a school meeting at 9:00 at night. I just, the cravings just hit me.
Yeah, maybe every once in a while, but you just got to avoid those. You got to say no.
But I'll tell you, compared to 10 years ago, or even 8 years ago, I so much less. And also I drink so much more water. I drink so much less other stuff than water.
Yeah, right.
Occasionally I'll have something else besides water, but almost never, right? I think I used to drink like diet sodas a fair amount, and I probably have a diet soda every 3 months at the most.
There you go. That's better. I mean, it's if it's every once in a while, that's okay. If it's every day, now we got a problem,
Yeah. But even like the people who do like the 5-2 diets, right? Where the 5 days you follow the rules, 2 days you don't. But the thing is, even when you don't, you still have some rules. You don't just go hog wild eating sugar.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's right.
I bought some ribs today. I'm gonna grill them this weekend, so that'll be good.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Chris, I think I'm ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, we've been on for a while. We didn't go as deep into our critical thinking as we normally do. We spent a lot of time on your business.
Yeah.
But I think, I would say definitely consider whether or not Grok's worth it for you.
Yeah, I'm going to consider. I think I'm going to keep paying for at least a couple more months, actually, because I just really have to give it enough time to really decide. And there's all this little thing in the back of my head. Don't bet against Elon Musk, because that guy has just some incredible ability to pull some rabbits out of some hats,
But how does that relate to this?
It relates to this in this way. I'm going to tell you exactly how it relates in my mind. Elon Musk hates OpenAI. Hates him. He just launched another lawsuit against him. And there's nothing more than he wants to do is to wipe them off the face of the map. And he's got the technical ability and the money to make a better AI. So,
yeah,
I just feel like I owe him a certain amount.
Do you know why he hates OpenAI?
Yeah, because they were supposed to do it together, and they kind of went around his back and kicked him out and said, "We're going to do this, and you're not the leader anymore." Yeah, so
wasn't he also openly critical of AI hurting the world at that point?
Of course, Musk is. Yeah,
now he's on board with building his own AI with fewer guardrails than anyone else. Yeah, I don't know that I respect where he's landed on AI.
I got you.
Right. That said, I've got no problem with Grok. I don't like it as much as other LLMs, but it's kind of fun to interact with.
Yeah, but that's my point, though. I'm saying that Elon Musk is providing value to me, like this time because of Starlink. My internet is not going like crazy like it has been for the past few times.
Yeah, so
And
I'm hearing a logical fallacy here that because he's good at one thing, he's good at everything, and or because he's good at two things, he's good at everything. Yeah, that is a logical fallacy, right? I forgot which one it is, but just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're right. You're good or right.
No, that's exactly right, actually. But I'm not. I don't think I'm making that fallacy actually, because I was frustrated beyond belief about my internet speed, right? And so I went out and gave Elon Musk some money for Starlink, and guess what? It's better. It's better.
Okay,
it's not perfect,
internet
but it's
speed.
Better.
That's not AI.
Internet speed.
So
that's not AI, right? But now let's talk about AI as a separate note. So what this dude did, right, is he started from behind the 8 ball on everybody and potentially caught up, and maybe even went just a little bit beyond where they are in AI right now. Okay. And so what that shows to me is it shows a track record of being very successful in multiple other things and proving something in this thing. That's why I said I don't know that I want to bet against Elon Musk, actually.
Okay.
And so in my small way, when he dings my credit card for $300 every month, I feel like I'm giving him a vote of confidence. Yeah, keep going, Musk. Even though this thing's not perfect right now, make it better for me.
And I would argue, are you comfortable with the way he's done it? That would be the other argument that I would have.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay. If you're comfortable with the way he did it, I like having AI with fewer guardrails on it because I know I'm not someone who's going to do bad things with it, but I understand the argument for having it. And the fact that he's kind of going against his initial comments on this. And
sure,
I think his initial comments were probably more ego. His ego was hurt by what happened with OpenAI, and therefore he came out negative against it. In many ways, he's kind of like a Trumpian effect on the way he interacts with people he doesn't like. That said, and honestly, he's impressive in the companies he runs, and I don't have an overall negative view of him at all. But I'm just questioning why you're taking or the fact that you're taking some positive from one spot and you're applying it to another spot. That's what I'm getting at.
I don't think I'm doing that actually, because I'm applying a positive to the AI problem actually, just because he did it faster than anybody else did it. So he went from behind.
He was the fourth or fifth one to do it. I mean, DeepSeek. Why aren't you buying DeepSeek then? Because DeepSeek did it cheaper and fast too.
Because they're a Chinese company. I don't trust them.
Okay, so you've got different priorities or different principles that are at play here. So I don't know.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a logical fallacy. I'm going to push back against that. I may be dumb and I may not be the optimal solution, but it's not a logical fallacy. You look at Tesla,
you look at SpaceX, you look at other companies that he's run. What's going on with the boring company? Is that kind of fallen away?
I don't know.
I look at him and he has an impressive track record overall.
Yes.
And I think I think he is an agent for change in a way that is rare in any society in any time.
Yeah.
I just don't see how that comes to how that translates to me as a measure of let's pay $300.
I'm a different thing. I just want to support that. I mean, we live in a capitalist society, and that $300 in mine it can be insignificant to him, but it's just a little vote of confidence that Musk, I support you. I think you're going to make a better AI, and he's got a rollout plan. He's going to make it look at images better. He's going to make it code better. It's going to do all sorts of this other cool stuff. And I believe in him because I fundamentally believe that the past performance, what you did in the past, is a pretty darn good predictor of what you'll do moving forward.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So what I want you to do is take back that I'm making a logical fallacy. That was your original argument. That's what I'm pushing.
Well, you were the one who brought up whatever link.
What link?
What was it? The satellite link.
Yeah, Starlink.
Starlink, that's it. Yeah, Neuralink came to mind. I knew that wasn't the right one. You're the one who brought up Starlink.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that up. You brought that up. So as soon as you brought that up, then I'm like, oh, wait. You're evaluating this by that. And that's why I'm saying
no,
that's the logical
no.
fallacy.
I'm just saying a trend.
Had you not
I'm
brought that up,
because,
I wouldn't have said there was a fallacy there because
okay,
you're the one who brought it up.
Yeah, well, I brought it up, but you brought up fallacy. As soon as I brought it up, then you brought up fallacy.
Because you said this, and then you said, because he gave me good internet. And I said, that's a fallacy, the way you stated that.
In that particular case, yeah, I didn't flesh out my whole argument, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so
if you
just said he's successful in a lot of places, and I think he translates that to here, that's a different thing to me. That I could still try to make the fallacy argument, but I think it's less obvious because you got a benefit out of the Starlink, and then you're saying he helped me here, therefore he's going to be good over here, and that to me was the fallacy.
And I played with it enough, and still though, I still think that the Gemini is probably a better tool today. Mm-hmm. But I know how fast he's going to do things, and I know how many resources he has, and I know how bad he wants it. He's probably going to outpace the other guy. That's what I'm assuming. So that's why
he's going to outpace.
And I'm not saying and I get good answers from it, but just maybe not as good. I don't know.
Well, so I'm really interested in, so people who like Claude like it a lot, and it does some things really well.
It's a great tool.
Chat still has the attention of the world over everything else for whatever reason.
It's a great tool, yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the adoption of Grok anywhere near that level. So I'm wondering, what is it? Why not? What factors are in there that are keeping it from getting the level? Because usually when I talk about it, people know Chat. They don't know Claude. They know Gemini maybe. They know Copilot probably because of work.
Yeah, right.
All right, and then DeepSeek maybe they've heard of, and it's that bad Chinese thing. I find it interesting. Grok is like, oh yeah, they got one too. And what's Meta's?
Oh, they have a new one that's coming out that's supposed to be really good. I may have to spend more money and go to Meta too, actually, Chris. Because, these are not plug-in replacements. They each do things in a different way. Yeah, they're all AI, but they kind of approach things differently.
So I do wonder if you couldn't save money by somehow making an API do with all this in the back end and just giving yourself a different front end.
And
you still
like
get the benefits.
And I'm still like your credit card example, and I'm not optimizing for saving money. It's just that there's enough where it's coming up where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling it a little bit,
Well, yeah,
but it's not
and
enough to make me change my behavior.
If you were to cut one of these tools, you're still going to be spending just as much time on AI.
Of course, yeah.
The question would be, you're worried about losing some minor performance boost that you think is going to translate to dollars at some point.
I'm going to be losing some performance thing possibly because I run split tasks against all of them, and I potentially am losing credibility because I like the fact that look, I'm investing heavily in this AI thing because I'm the expert in it, and I eat my own dog food, and I feel like from a marketing standpoint, there's a lot of value in that.
So if you're using, let's say what was the three? So you got Claude, Chat, and Gemini. And if you go and buy Meta and you're not doing Grok, do you think that there's that much of a credibility hit saying, I did 4 of these 5?
In my mind, yeah. In my mind. Because because experts...
if that is how you think, then you need to do whatever.
Yeah, because experts evaluate all the tools out there. And they use all the tools.
Not as much as they used to. I don't agree with that anymore. There's just too much noise out there for them, so they just concentrate on a smaller signal source.
Yeah, and I may do that at some point, but right now I don't know.
What I see is Claude versus Chat. I see Chat versus Gemini. I see Chat versus Grok. I rarely see. I sometimes see 3 of them. I rarely see more than that, and I think it's just because there's too much to process.
Well, there you go. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's going to be doing all 5 or whatever. And who knows? Maybe I could develop really great content out of that. And if nothing else, it makes me more confident when I can go out and say, look, I've evaluated all the major tools. In fact, Scott, I use them every single day.
Your thing could just be, let's run one prompt on all 5 of these and see what comes out. And you just do multiple videos of that. Today's prompt, let's see if we can create a graphic for my podcast, and you try them on and go, well, Claude, you can't even do it, or you created an HTML graphic that looks like Like a 12-year-old or a 2-year-old made it. That's out the door. All right, let's try it with Grok. Grok, what kind of image can you make? Gemini, what kind of image can you make? Chat, what kind of image can you make? That would be maybe something that would be interesting, because then you've got a format to follow every time, and you're just saying, you just got to come up with an interesting prompt, and you're just identically prompting all 5. That would be an interesting output.
I am so close to doing that, but here's the problem, Chris, is like I'm doing this podcast, and then we got to edit, and then there's another podcast, another edit, and then it's like Scott, I'm saturated.
My only thought here is then you turn on Zoom. Yeah. Let's make this as low effort for you as possible. You turn on Zoom, you share your screen, and then you just do it all on that screen. And you're talking to it, you record it, and you just post it as is. You don't even give it commentary. You just talk to it. And at the end, you go, okay, let's look at all these. That one looks like the best. I'm keeping that one.
Yeah, maybe that's a raw thing.
And then you just post the raw interaction. You spent the last hour doing these prompts against these 5 windows, and done. You're done.
And I'm done. And then I would post that on my Profit Trigger website. And my Profit Trigger YouTube channel. And then I also want to do another podcast because that's focused more on maybe sort of business stuff, because this is logic and critical thinking. And I don't know if we want to expand it, because I'll tell you, if you want to build relationships, man, podcasts are a powerful tool. Hey, come on the podcast. Let's talk about
Scott,
it.
One of the things I want to do is create my own content around me and specifically how I interact with LLMs, right? My long verbose conversations, because I think that's one thing I want people to understand is, talk to it. At the end of the day, just talk to it, right? Yeah. And it's not about maximizing or optimizing your prompt. It's about getting the AI to give you different types of input and then leveraging that for your next thought. That's what I want to talk about. It's not a business thing, right?
And maybe, because in my mind, I got to tie it into business, but maybe we should do something like that together, because I think we'd be stronger, better together. Because
so would we do it as a team, or would I create content and you create content, we both put it on the same channel?
I don't know. I have no idea the structure, because I really like the idea of basically telling you're an idiot. I love that. But for me to tell you that you're an idiot, to get that little bit of pleasure, I have to do a lot of work, because I want you to voluntarily submit to me. And you're not going to submit easily, just like I'm not going to submit easily to you.
I'm just imagining you do your prompting thing, and you get the results from 5 different types of LLMs, right? And we see how you're engineering your prompt. So not only do we see the outcomes of the 5 different LLMs, we see how you're structuring your prompt. And the one I'm thinking of doing is, you'll see how I talk to AI and how my thoughts kind of jumble around, but AI is still able to process them and give me something useful back. It's a different element of what we're of the interface we're talking about. Mine is going to be critical thinking in kind of a long form conversational prompt. Yours is going to be critical thinking about designing the prompt and judging the output.
Yeah, and I just feel like I want to do this together. That feels like the right thing to do for me. I just feel like, and as time goes on, people are going to see the chemistry developing between us, and that may be more important than what we're actually doing.
I do think so. I think understanding us individually is important, but understanding the dynamic here, right? The fact that I can insult you, you can insult me, and we're not insulted says something about how we get along.
Yeah. Yeah, this is jujitsu, man. We roll around and, man, we're going to go at each other hard, and sometimes you're going to win and sometimes I'm going to win.
Well, so I was watching a video of a debate, an Oxford debate or one of the Cambridge debates, and this guy takes it apart, and he calls up, this is this fallacy, and he has a little window that pops up next to him and explains it. I'm like, that's cool. I want to get to the point where we can say, okay, I'm going to attack you with this fallacy now, or I attack you, and then you call out the fallacy. Like I was just saying, you've got this fallacy of the way you're thinking. You could say, okay, Chris, you're applying this thought here. This is a blank fallacy, or an ad hominem attack, or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good.
The no true Scotsman, that was a weird one too. The no true Scotsman fallacy. I mean, there's all these fallacies that are out there. So
I think that's so good, because when you could use techniques and you can name them, and then you start stringing them together. I mean, now you could become very powerful, right?
Yep.
Very powerful.
Like, is it the reductum absurdum or something like that? It's reducing to the absurd. Well, you take someone's idea and then you reduce it to just the stupidest concept from it.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah. So Scott, you're going to say that everything that because of Starlink, I should be doing blank, blank, and blank, or I should be changing my dietary whatever based upon your Starlink.
All because of Starlink. That's right. Exactly.
Right. And of course, you're not saying that at all, but that's what I'm going to reduce it to.
Yeah, because what that does is it forces me to clarify, because clearly you said I made a logical fallacy. I'm like, no, I didn't. But with the data you had, you observed that fallacy, which is like, no, because I need to give you way more context, which it always comes into the fact that I didn't deliver enough context, which means I didn't communicate well.
Had you started with something about admiring the way he's able to run businesses and how he's done things in the past, and then you brought up Starlink as an example, that would have framed it slightly differently. But the way you framed it was like, he gave me good internet, so I think he's good.
Yeah, right, which is exactly right. And see, the thing is, you'll say that, which you'll help me not to make that mistake. Another business guy that you don't have the relationship with, you're like, oh, you just got bad logic, actually. But now that I'm exposed to that, I got to be very careful. I've got to frame this argument very carefully.
Yeah, I discovered this young woman who she's a professional debater, I guess, or at least she's a trained debater, and she's just quick on being able to call these things up. And I'm like, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
So
because she operates in frameworks,
I actually did this thing in, I used Grok the other day and said, give me a list of common debate fallacies and tools and then tell me when to use each depending on it. Is the debate for discussion or is the debate to win? And how do I use each?
Yeah.
And it said, okay, this can be on purpose or this can be accidental. This is the one you use purposefully to tear apart, to tear down the enemy. There's all kinds of things. It was really a useful table that I created.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's all some form of jujitsu. Like, I'm going to fake attacks.
It's the moves, right? You've basically figured out the moves.
Because ultimately I'm going to simulate some sort of attacks because I need to move into better position, but I've got to force you to react so I can get past your guard or something. And then that's where I really want to be.
And so I was listening to, it was a debate, and it was one of the conservative guys who was talking on there, and he just didn't answer any questions. He just kept responding with a talking point, in essence.
Gotcha, yeah.
And the problem was, unlike dealing with someone who wasn't good at debate, he was dealing with someone who was good in debate, and they just kept redirecting back at him, and he wasn't scoring the points he thought he was.
Yeah, that's right. And so it depends on how good, like in jiu-jitsu, just like in anything, it depends on how good your opponent is. I mean, you can do all sorts of cool moves, and I may be able to just do really bad stuff to you, and then I try to do that to the master, and just nothing works. He just laughs at me. It's like, because he's like, you're a child,
Well, and that's the thing is like, there might be a method that's good, that will work in 90% of cases, but then in 10% of cases, someone knows exactly how to counteract it.
Yeah, not against somebody who's trained against that. Yeah, exactly.
So this came up. Oh, okay, I'm just going to go through here. So I'm going to take this table and send it off to you because I think it's really interesting if we can start to use these terms.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I got to go.
All righty. Talk to you sometime next week, if not before Friday.
Yeah, subscribe, all that stuff you're supposed to do.
Like,
if you get to
subscribe,
the
comment,
podcast.
Tell us how great this episode was, how boring this episode was, all the fallacies that Scott had in his logic today.
Of course, that's right. And I have a ton of fallacies, but let's get them all out because, when people call me out and stuff, that is the best gift you could give me because now I get better.
And that's a good way to look at anything, right? Feedback.
Exactly.
Feedback can be painful, but it should be constructive.
That's correct. Okay.
All right. With that, I'll talk to you later. Have a great holiday weekend, Scott.
Okay. You too. Oh, that's right. Holiday weekend. All right, Chris. We'll see you.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.